Awesome. What's going on, D-Bags? Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the Detox Podcast. I'm your host, Darren Rita. Feel free to connect with me at any of the links down below. And if you're new here and you enjoy music, podcasts, or comedy, do consider subscribing because we got a whole lot of that going on around here. When you do that, helps us share conversations like this one, videos of us hooping, or music with way more people. So if you're interested, consider subscribing. It's free. You can always unsubscribe later. Now, before I can get into my guest this week and introduce him to you guys, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about car insurance. These days, it seems as if we're able to do more and more from home. So while you're at home, why aren't you saving money on your car insurance? Your hometown agency, Kenosha Auto Insurance, specialized for years, literal years, in simple, hassle-free car insurance using the latest in touch-free technology to help you and your family get the best rates. So, what are you waiting for? Give them a call today at 262-448-4141. That's 262-448-4141. It's on the screen right now. It's also linked down below. Give them a call. Tell them D-Rita Detox sent you. The worst that could happen is you will get the best rates. Now, with all that good stuff out of the way, I'm actually really excited to get to chat with my guest and get to know him a little better today. He's a rapper, songwriter, college grad, TED Talk speaker giver, TED Talk giver, whatever you want to say. Let's give a wet detox welcome to Troyleft.
Wow.
He's here.
Thank you so much.
We have a clap track sometimes, but my computer the guts are everywhere right now, so it's not working. But
okay.
I clapped it up
I
for you.
can hear it too, and it's humbling. Thank you so much for having me.
The applause is there. Thank you for being here, man.
Yeah.
I know it was I reached out a little while ago, but I had found out that you had like taken a break from social media right around the same time I had messaged you.
Yeah,
so it was
sorry
like
about that inconvenience.
but it worked out.
A way, yeah.
You found it. We got you on here, so I'm excited. You know, we're filming this the day before it's airing, because usually we film live on Mondays, but we're here. We made it work scheduling wise, and I'm excited to have you here, man. I've seen a lot of the stuff that you've done in the past, and the most recent project that you just dropped, and I'm excited to get to talk with you. So.
Oh man, I can't wait to get into anything you have.
So are you? I heard that. Well, when it comes to you dipping off of socials for a while, as an artist. You know, that can be a difficult thing. Yeah. A lot of people will be like, why the hell are you doing that? You know, you're an artist, you got to promote yourself, you got to be a presence. Is there a reason that you kind of dip off social media for times?
Yeah, I think my relationship with social media, unfortunately, is a negative one at times, because my borderline personality disorder gets really exacerbated. I find it hard to express what I need to. Then I tend to overshare, or I bombard, or I vanish. And the vanishing is kind of a survival tactic for me, because I don't really know how to communicate with the social side of things without being present in person, and that can be tough. So I do know it is not a good way to promote, to market, to do any of that, but it was a necessary thing, and I was apprehensive to even get back on it, but in terms of communicating with people, I need to keep that lane open.
What do you think? What is so difficult for you in the communication aspect of things through, you know, whether it's online social media or like texting, communication like that?
Well, for example, I think it's all perceptive based, and I guess even in you asking that, it kind of reaffirms what I used to think notion-wise, that I should just be authentic and try to be as much as myself as possible, and if people don't like it, that's fine. But I'm not entirely I want to share so much about myself, the vulnerabilities, because I think really all we can do in this life is connect. That's what I hold prime value in, and even, you know, being here right now, prime example, and it gets to be in person. So being present like this, it's a lot different. We speak for however long we do now. If we translate that into text, that might look overwhelming on a social media platform.
That's a book.
If I have a lot of thoughts and I'm trying to get them off, this is the appropriate way to do it, more so than just and again, this is all based on other people's perception.
Yeah. Do you
and
think
it's kind of
bleeds into your head a little bit, it sounds like, and maybe.
Yeah, it's I just want to connect. I want people to know that they can feel free to I guess I haven't landed fully on what I want my platform to be. People just have directed me to Tumblr, like, you should go there with some of these things, and I'm like, yeah, but
I'm gonna be honest, I've never used Tumblr
Yeah.
once in my life. Are you on it then?
I guess Not
You have
really,
you
though.
have an account though.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I'm pretty stuck in my ways sometimes with particular things. Like I need to get on TikTok, but I'm terrified to. Again,
I
it's
think you
just,
do well on TikTok.
Yeah, I appreciate
I think so.
that. If you have any concepts you want to float by down the road, let me know. Because
I got a whole sheet of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you when we're done here.
Awesome.
I think you would do. I think you would. From what I've seen of your stuff, I think you would crush it. I think it
Oh,
yeah. I'm serious.
Thanks, man.
And I don't have a ton of shit going on TikTok. I mean, we're doing okay over there, but
Yeah.
I think you would kill it over there. Now you
Appreciate that.
mentioned how talking like this or conversations
Yeah,
in
this is the
person
shit.
are the shit. And sometimes if you were to like text somebody that, come off as like you're sending them a fucking book. Are you a book texter, or are you somebody that sends individual, like I know some people will send like a sentence. Sometimes with my
No,
girlfriend I'll
don't
be
do
like,
that.
hey, can you please do this thing right now? And
Mhm.
then and it'll be little
Yeah.
blurbs. Other times it'll be a whole book.
Right.
Which way do you usually sway?
Well, I think before I even identify as I identify as a writer at my core.
Mm.
So the way that I go about communicating, I try to choose words articulately, and I don't like compensating, getting the point across. So it can come off as a bunch of different things. People are like, why the fuck are you texting me like this? I do the big paragraphs. I do it like an essay. It's just, that's what was drilled into my head through school of how to write and stuff. Like I can't even figure Twitter out. I just want to write how I think and speak.
Yeah.
So that's why it's cooler when I get to be in person with people, because A, it's a lot more acceptable,
Yeah.
and B, again, there's something about, like, my love language is presence.
Yeah.
Not gifts, but like presence.
Being in the moment with somebody.
Yeah, being fully there. And again, it's easier to do that in situations like this than virtually. Like,
It's a lot more difficult to get that through, someone texting you G2G TTYL, like whatever,
Yeah.
it's hard to know, how people actually feel through text. My biggest thing for
Mhm.
social media, and even it's hard with, like, for me as someone who obviously I do music, I do the podcast, I do some comedy stuff as well. It's difficult for me sometimes to like do little snarky jokes or like silly things, because I don't want to like piss people off. I don't want people to like not
Yeah.
get what I'm saying, which is
Mhm.
maybe is a fault of mine for not being able to just say the joke.
Mm.
But it's like, that is who I am. Like, if we were in person and I misspoke and like upset you, like I would be like, well, no, that's not, and I would go as far as I could to make
Mhm.
you understand that that's not what I meant,
Right.
and so that, I think that makes it difficult for me with online communication. So I definitely see, your side of things as opposed, like, as why it's maybe difficult for you to stick around on social media. Because I have a
Mhm.
similar things. I talked about it a while ago on the podcast, but I was doing this thing where I was releasing a single every week for a certain period of
Hell yeah,
time.
you did.
And I had to, in doing that, because I wanted to post more on social media, because that's what people tell you need to do, and I
Mhm.
want to be more. It's important to have a presence there too. I
Yeah.
think, as we're talking about the importance of presence in real life.
Yeah.
It's good for people that connect with your music or connect with whatever else you're doing to see you in that way. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to kind of force myself and trick myself to do that more. So when I was doing the single a week thing, I like set my feed up so that all my singles would line up on one side. So it forced me to
looks
post
great.
twice.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Mhm.
so twice a week I was having to post, and then I got to post the song. So it was like kind of almost dangling the little treat at the end of the treadmill so that
That's
I could
right.
keep it going. But so that was a trick I did as an artist that helped me out a little bit.
Yeah.
But speaking of artistic vision and being an artist,
Mm.
I got to say congrats on the Left tape.
Hey, thank you, dude.
That's a new project for people
It
that
is.
don't know. Just dropped it 2 weeks ago?
Has it been that long? I guess so.
About 2 weeks ish.
Yeah, something like that.
So we're gonna get into some of that stuff so people
Mhm.
can understand, because obviously I introduced you as a rapper, songwriter. How would you describe yourself or maybe your music? I kind of hate getting that question.
Oh, from my
sometimes.
music?
Yeah,
How would I describe it?
but I have to ask it, even though I dislike the question.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll begin with something someone told me recently about their perception of my music, and they told me, like, it's poetic. So I guess I really value the poetry associated with the rhythm and poetry part of it. I would start with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in listening to the project, because this is probably of your stuff, this is the
Yeah.
one I've spent the most time with.
Oh, wow.
for me, I really, really enjoy, and still was the one of my first listen, and still now after a couple listens, Say Less is probably my favorite track on the project.
Thank you, dude.
And so I'm interested in wondering why the name Troyleft,
Oh.
and then how do we get from there to the Left project, and then we'll get into some of the stuff on the album itself or project. I don't want to classify it as an album if you're not calling it that.
Yeah, I don't even know what necessarily it is.
It's hard to name these things anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of a fluid body of work that's its own like living, breathing thing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, you said you want me to start with Troyleft.
How do we get to Troyleft?
From Nathan.
Yeah.
Well, I was 17 years old, and T-Pain had a auto-tune app, and it was like karaoke. You could sing along to like whatever you could. Well, there was a limited amount, but they also had the instrumental versions. So I couldn't afford an iPod, and my friend, I was like, hey, can I borrow this like for an hour? And I wrote my first song, and then a couple weeks later I did the talent show and rapped Nothing on You and stuff, and it was all really awesome. And
Nothing on You by Bruno Mars and B.O.B.?
Yeah, I rewrote the lyrics, played drums. We had a 3-piece band. I didn't know how to play drums. I practiced a lot of Band Hero before, and we got second. That was my first live show, but I still didn't have a name. I knew I wanted one. It was Wisco for a while.
Wisco.
It was just Wisco. This was like when I was 18.
That's a tough one to get behind.
Pretty tough, yeah. And
it could do well regionally.
Right.
Not
but
very
you're pigeonholing,
scalable.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to think worldwide, like Pitbull.
Yeah.
But I just remember being in college and I was lifeguarding, and I have a notebook of awful names, right? Just like, what can I be? And I decided, like, let's go with an acronym. Like, I'm fucking Rookie of the Year, like I'm here. I have arrived. Also, Emeka Okafor was one of my favorite basketball players, and he had just won Rookie of the Year a few years ago from that point. And I'm like, okay, the Rookie of the Troy. Troy sounds cool. It was Troy Nathans for the longest. I just threw my first name at the end. Kind of sounds like a porn star name, but
it does,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So that was a kind of thing for a while, and then I graduated college, was a teacher, had a big manic stint, like a 2-month-long one. Quit my job, moved across the country. I left.
Where'd you move?
Durango, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
It was the best time of my life.
Why would you move back?
I just, still in a manic state, I called up my friend, said, do you want to chase these dreams for real? Like, I started with my friend in Atlanta, and he's like, I'll think about it. And I called my other collaborator and said, I will move across the country right now, and we can get a place, and we'll figure it out. And I did that. But the reasoning for Troy Nathans to Troyleft, it just became pretty obvious to me. I was leaving. I've always felt kind of left of center. There have been times, and I incorporate that in my music, feeling left out in particular ways. I'm left-handed, shit.
You're
like,
left-handed
shit
too?
like that. Yeah.
Wow. So it's layered. It's
there
like
are a lot
an
of
onion.
layers. It like left is the most, I think, it fits my identity. And Troy, like once someone referred to, like I went and performed at an open mic, and I went by Troy for the first time. And it was a simple thing, but it was really profound to me when after the show they were like calling me Troy. They only knew me as Troy. And like that really to me validated my art,
Yeah.
They didn't see me as Nathan. Like this was my artistic vision coming forth in name form.
Yeah.
So I've had a bunch of weird ones that I've almost been. Louis Odell was one I was huge on for
Louis
a weird
Odell.
reason. Yeah, Louis Odell. I just thought
It flows.
it does flow. It didn't age well though, because it was based on Louis C.K. and Odell Beckham.
God
So,
damn. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So I'm glad I
Oh,
never
no.
fully committed, but like I think for 2 months on SoundCloud I was Louis Odell.
Okay, well that was
before that happened.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well that's fair. So you thought about this a lot though.
All the time, and I've never really. Again, I think maybe it's borderline personality related or something, but I've always wanted to know my identity, but I've been uncertain about it. I think there's this fluidity, this spectrum that we all exist on, and I don't know. So when you pick a name, like I really want it to fit.
Yeah.
But so Troyleft is the closest I ever got.
Yeah.
And then I made it into a poem. The reminiscer of youth left everything for truth. Like I was trying to play around with it. So it's still, the layers keep growing.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So you never thought to, in having all this turmoil and trying to decide on a name, because it sounds like you had you said you had a notebook, like a list of all these different names that you couldn't settle on. You never thought like, oh, maybe I should just go with Nathan something, or did that cross your mind as well?
The only reason it did was because of Kendrick Lamar, but because he's Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, but I just Nathan doesn't seem, it's not very identifiable, you know. There are a lot of Nathans.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and it was also cool for a while to be able to separate myself from the concept of Nathan.
I do think that would be interesting.
Yeah, but now it's getting kind of, they're blending more and more. I actually almost changed my name permanently a couple weeks ago, and I've still been thinking about it.
Changing it to Troyleft?
No, changing it from Troyleft to Try Hard, with 3 I's. Reason being,
interesting,
number of reasons. But my friend passed away a couple months ago. Rest in peace, TriStar. But he.
I'm sorry for your loss, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. He was just a beautiful soul, and he carried this like raw poetic spirit about him that really inspired me and informed this project too. The demos, you can hear the rawness and shit. But so I was like, okay, I wanted to release a project in his memory, and then I was like, you know what? I don't even feel like I'm Troyleft anymore. Like, I've always been called a tryhard my whole life. A few years ago, I tried to reclaim that title with 2 of my friends, 2 producer friends. We went as Tryhard, and we just, like, there's a song called Tryhard on my SoundCloud. It's I like that one a lot. So I resonate strongly with that, but I also, when I ask people, that there's so many different opinions, you know, like, well, there are different ways to honor people, or are you going to regret moving Troyleft, or people are going to be really confused, and then I hear, well, just do whatever it is you want to do because you're an artist, and like, why would you like just allow yourself to proceed? But like, I haven't pulled the trigger on it.
It's an interesting dilemma you find yourself in,
and a really serious like kind of thing, you know. It's like, it's
I mean, you lost a friend, you know. That's heavy, you know. And to think,
heavy.
Do you feel that you need to do something, you know, in almost response to that, in doing this for him? You know, you said that he inspired a lot of this project, and you said that was this in like commemoration of him, or
it?
Because it sounds like maybe you were working on it prior, and then things happen.
Well, once he passed, I knew that I wanted to
honor it,
like get a body of work ready, because it's the urgency of it all, you know. Like, I don't like withholding, and then people around me are dying, and why not share what we were born here to do? And he did that till his last day. So
you don't want to leave things unsaid. It's like almost if you were to, you know, if something were to happen.
Well, I didn't know, for example, if I was going to be homeless or not a couple weeks ago. I didn't know if I would be in a mental hospital again. I didn't know if I'd be in a rehab center for an elongated amount of time, when like my SoundCloud fee would expire and all my music would get taken down and DistroKid too. It's like, I wasn't sure, and I didn't feel, I felt this impending sense of doom in my personal life. My mental health was deteriorating. I felt really unstable, and I thought, you know what? This isn't going to be pretty, but this is going to be what needs to happen to keep me alive right now. And TriStar really informed a lot of the way that I try to invest time into it. The last song, it might be second to last now. I keep tinkering with some things, but it's called Arrived. I cut the back version off just because there's so much vulnerability, for real, is what it all started with, that I felt so naked sharing it with anybody. I felt like ashamed in advance, you know, because I think we're all so predisposed now and conditioned to expect a finished music product that's mixed and mastered pure, and it's all glossy, and it's like, no, that wasn't my life. My life wasn't glossy when it was happening. It was like really raw and fearful. You can hear it in my voice in some of the songs, like it's quivering and shit, because I'm not in spaces that it was a really intense thing, and that intensity aligns with, losing a friend, I feel a tremendous sense of personal responsibility to make sure that his legacy is done justice. And the way that I know how to do best is to keep that poetic spirit, and not let it extinguish. Yeah.
No, it's a beautiful thing. First off, I think it's extremely admirable, for you to be, taking that kind of stance on it. And it's a lot of, it seems to me, and obviously I don't know 100% your situation, but it seems like it's maybe a lot of weight as well, this thing. And I'm curious,
yeah.
is that, you said obviously, he informed and in wanting to honor, him and his legacy. This is very raw, this project. There is a lot of rawness. There's a lot of titles on the project end with demo, or there's a timestamp. Is that because of that? Is that a conscious decision because of how you're trying to keep it as raw as possible?
Yeah, I also just wanted to include some of those stamps to inform the listener of, and for a while I think I took some of them down, but it even says in parentheses what take it was, because most of it was done in one take. That's just the kind of artist that I prefer to be. I've been in studios before with punching in all the time, and like, it's not disingenuous to me, but as a performer, like as someone who, when you write it out, like as you're building the verse, it gets more and more fun. It's always been hard for me to throttle down mid-verse, like, okay, let's punch in and keep that same energy. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna go. And people who inspire me of that nature are like Kendrick Lamar. When I saw the TDE show in Chicago, and it changed my whole life. It was like seeing Jesus.
Oh, really?
He had no backtrack, and he hit every single, like, I'm like, this is what I want to aspire to. So
breath control's crazy. Breath control's crazy on guys like
right?
that. Yeah.
And so I try to tell people too, or maybe they just witness it for themselves, but my live performances sound very similar. There's no backtrack. So this tape is like, when I start going to open mics and performing some of them, I'm really excited to play Say Less, by the way. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, I love that one for real.
Just things like that. Yeah.
No, I think it's really cool. So how do you go from kind of, again, it sounds like you were working on this prior to this thing happening, which again, I'm very sorry for.
I appreciate
that's not
you.
a small thing, and I appreciate you, being open enough to share that with us and the listeners.
Yeah.
And then, this thing happens, and that's informing, some of the decision-making processes you're going through towards finalizing it.
Yeah.
How do you settle on a name, the Left Tape?
Left Tape? Well, to be honest, it was very close to being called Call Me Crazy, because I felt like I was in psychosis, and I was just like almost hyper fixating on who Daniel Johnston embodied as an artist. So I was just like, it was gonna be called Call Me Crazy, and then I was like, no, it just has to be something. And I initially did something called 365 and 365. I failed at it, but Nipsey Hussle and Gary Vee, of all people, were chopping it up in a room, and this is a tangent, but I hope I can bring it around.
Okay.
And Gary was like, you know what, there's going to be someone out there crazy enough to just try and make a song a day for a whole year, and and I got to like 78. Like, I really set out for it, and I forget what I called that, but right after I did that, I went back and looked, and I had like 300 songs that I had released. So I just made this playlist called Troy's Leftography, and it was just like 7.5 hours of my shit.
Jesus Christ.
So
yeah.
when I was thinking, well, I liked the leftography concept. I've done left messages as a mini tape before. I like incorporating left in, and I was like, well, this is just like a left tape. And it wasn't really, I thought that was like a safe way to go about it,
Yeah.
It's the left tape.
I think it fits.
Thank you.
I think it fits, and it works. And the project's really good, and I'm going to plug it one more time, guys. The left tape, right? There's not the on it. It's just... Is there a
I think it's called the Left Tape Demos.
Okay, and it's under, you look up Troyleft SoundCloud, right? It's on SoundCloud right now.
Yeah, and
people can check
streaming, it out. Once I finally land on, like, step away from it, because I haven't stepped away from it. I just uploaded another one yesterday.
Okay, interesting. Making changes already. There's one of the instrumentals you have on there that I've had in a playlist, on like a private playlist that I've been like, I have like a song to. For the longest time, and I was like, this motherfucker, bro.
No, wait, which one?
I can't remember off the top of my head the name, man. It's the sample in the background. It goes something like when I get lost, na na na, I think of you. It like I like did an interpolation of that
Oh, I gotta hear
on
it.
it. I never recorded it. It's written, and I have it was for this project I was doing called Honesty, that I don't know if and when will come out. But
For sure.
yeah, I've had it saved for like 3 years, so I was like, well, I didn't do anything with it, so I think it's okay.
Oh yeah.
But I was
Keep it
excited.
going.
I like a lot of the sound selection. I think is really good, man. I really enjoy the project.
Thank you.
In going through some of your stuff, you know, we talked prior when you were on the Sad Girl Next Door podcast. Shout out Taylor and Sad Girl Next
shout
Door.
out Taylor.
We were talking before, and you had mentioned that you kind of bounced around a little bit, how you talked here with California or Colorado, but you also
Yeah.
went to Minnesota for a while.
Yes, I did.
And I was curious about your time in Minnesota, because I believe you were performing a lot, correct?
Yeah, Minnesota, Minneapolis. I have so much love in my heart for it. The quick story that I can give about falling in love with it is one of my friends who lived in Minneapolis sent me this like flyer for a radio contest, and it's called Shut Up and Rap. And you like submit a song, they pick 8 people.
Who's the big? There's the DJ attached to that, right?
DJ Bonix.
Okay, yeah.
Was Khalifa's tour DJ. There was Augie, who's the shit. Lizzo's tour DJ. Sophia Eris was there too.
Okay,
They were
sweet.
the ones coordinating it. And so I saw that contest existed, and I'm like, I gotta go. So I just drove 4.5 hours. I submitted my thing. I got in to compete, and I performed. I got second the first time. Or third actually, and that was more brutal, man, because they called it a 2-way tie between those guys, and then they had them do a freestyle like rap off, and I just had to sit there with my third place ass.
Damn.
Like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I went back like immediately the next week. I'm like doing it again, trying a different song. That one was even more intense because people like were bringing their local friends to support, but then like they're cross-armed for other performers, and I drove. No one knew me, so
Yeah.
it was just me trying to win over a room who didn't want me to win.
Yeah.
But I loved it, and I remember I dropped in on one that I didn't compete in, and it was the finals, and JSO Creative won, and I was like, JSO's the shit. I have to like figure out what's going on. I congratulated her, and I'm like, where are you guys going after this? I met her manager and stuff, and her manager eventually became mine. And I would just go up all the time. There was a show that we did in Duluth. Once he was my manager, Jason and I did, and we get in my car in the morning, and I'm like, I got to show you a couple songs, a couple beats. And she's like, where are we recording this? And I'm like, I don't know, but I got to go home right now, back to Janesville. It's like 4.5 hours away. She's like, let's go. So she just came back with me, and then for 4 days we just made a cool ass project, and she became like a sister figure to me. We've been through a lot together, one of my favorite people on earth. And I tried to move back to Minneapolis in 2018 to live with my manager, but I was not mentally stable. I was going through I was in a abusive living situation, was enduring a lot, and the Mac Miller died right when I moved. Like right when I like dropped my shit off, and I was just walking to the park, and I'm like, Mac Miller's dead, and I spiraled even harder.
What do you think it was about that
About Mac passing?
yeah, that hit you?
You know, Mac, you saved my life. It's super tragic, you know, when addicts pass, and being one, it's heart-wrenching. You should never intentionally spiral harder. Like, I don't know what I was doing to spiral for. Like, I should have fought harder to get away from that, to have that not be my fate. But like, there's just a lot I couldn't handle. So I moved back to my abuser's house. Like, that's the kind of not right mind I was in, and like ended up in a mental hospital a couple times, and like et cetera, et cetera.
That's a tough time. There's a lot of turmoil in times like that.
Yeah, I've seen some shit. But it really, I try to present the information, especially like in my music. People wonder why it's dark, and they tell me like, you gotta just go that different lane. Like, you could be Jack Harlow if you, and I'm like, okay, but that's not my truth, you know? Like, it can be. There's some fun. I try to have fun moments. When I was in love a couple years ago, some of those songs were really sick, but if I'm not in that headspace, I can't force it out. So I think this project, I'm grateful it's out, because I hadn't released anything in over a year, and in making it an extended tape and some songs from 2018, like, I'm trying to give a whole perspective on how cyclical this all can really be, and how there can still be beauty and art within those moments, even if they are pained. I don't expect it to be like a, I guess I'm not sure, but
No, I think that's an interesting perspective, interesting thing you're having to deal with. If people are coming to you and be like, hey, you could be this, you could be more. It's an interesting, I couldn't imagine, well, maybe it's coming from a place of love. I don't want to discredit these people entirely, but that's a tough thing to say to somebody who's a creative, like, you should be doing this thing. Like, you could be whatever. I know sometimes it comes from a place of love, and I definitely have creative friends where I see potential in them, and I see them, sort of slipping off whatever path it is they want to do, or they're getting tangled up in other things. And I hope that if and when something like that was happening to me, somebody would pick up the phone and call and be like, hey, Darren, where's the podcast, bro? You did it for 100 some weeks straight, and now it's not happening. What's going on? Those things, I think it's important to have people like that. But if someone, your art is your art. And if it's not done in a constructive way, just saying, why aren't you Jack Harlow, could be kind of,
Yeah. And I mean,
shitty.
everyone, I guess people make comparisons and things. That's their frame of reference with things. And it's not with me, not just solely. It's, we all like to, like, who's the Kobe Bryant of this, who's the this of this. We try
how we make sense of the world.
Yeah, we try to grab on, like, oh, you're my, so I'm not overly concerned about it, but it does kind of affect the way that I've been trying. I've been experimenting a little bit. After this Jack release, I was like, all right, let me just try this mode a little bit and see, like, meddle with it kind of.
What is
like
that
a
mode
Rubik's
to you?
Cube.
What does it mean to you?
Just being more braggadocious, more laid back, chill, cool, fun guy, like Jack tends to present. Like, I'm the exact opposite. I'm very uptight, intense, fidgety and shit, and there's a reason for that. So it is kind of fun to do those exercises. It feels against the grain of who I am, but there's always a lesson to be learned while you're doing that and experimenting, failing better.
Pushing yourself, right? So you're just getting reps in at the end of the day.
Yeah, man. I used to rap to the windshield wipers in my blinker and stuff before I had a sound system. I any beat that I ever hear, I'm like, how can I, I don't care what it is. But to try and, as an artist, work on themes and work on, like, that's a lifelong thing. You can always tinker and tamper.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like, I mean, obviously everybody, and it sounds like you went through this period especially where there was so much darkness, really, all these terrible things going on, either happening to you or happening for you, whatever it was. Of course, be pretty hard to be like making love songs and like, let's have a party song here and there. Like, that's got to be difficult, but I'm sure as you move into a space where maybe you begin to feel better, or you get things, stabilize a little bit, those things will come. And it's, we're not, and nobody is one thing,
Not at all, no.
So, like, you don't be afraid to step out of that box. If I were to, not that you're asking for advice from me,
I appreciate
but
your advice.
You're very talented in what you do. And I think,
likewise.
Not trying to sound like your friend, but if you wanted to, you could be Jack Harlow. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're my friend.
No,
I know. Oh, I see what you're saying.
You can have fun. You can have fun.
Yeah.
You can still do. I know there is a darker angle in some of your music, especially, right? But that doesn't mean that you don't also have days where you laugh at things. I'm sure
absolutely. I think people tell me that I have an intimidating presence sometimes before they meet me, because I just seem so fucking, like, I can laugh too sometimes.
Yeah.
We have to.
Of course.
Also, people are funny, and being a human is absurd. So, like, there are bound to be those times. I appreciate you saying, though, that, those were the times that I was in. Like, and I think that's what we do as artists, right? Like,
we're emotional, dude. That's what we do. We take what's going in around it. We're a lot of, especially when it comes to, and I want to talk to you specifically about this because of your history and from what it seems like your knowledge on the topic, but especially when it comes to hip hop specifically, it's a very observant genre. It's very much looking at what is happening. Not that others aren't, but in hip hop, maybe more so specifically, a lot of our favorite artists, a lot of the artists that make extremely impactful music, they're almost acting as similarly to comedians. and not in the sense that it's super funny, but in the sense that they're like, we are all just living in this world right now, however awesome or fucked up it is in our perspective. And all they're doing is literally just showing you the same thing, the same circle, and just showing you, look at this part, look at this right here. They're just pointing out what's going on.
Exactly.
And whether that's your own story, you're telling someone else's story, whatever it is, it's very, this is the state of things. Yeah. And that's another thing I thought was interesting about the timestamps on the project. Because for me, I got annoyed when Childish Gambino dropped that project that we were talking about prior to this.
Only dates.
Yeah, pissed me off when it's only that, because I have it's like, this gives me no idea what's going on. The features are blank, like whatever, all this shit, kind of annoying. Yeah. I love Childish Gambino, but it pissed me off a little bit. Yeah. But I do think it's interesting from how the place of observing that hip hop comes from, and to include things like that, because this is a song I'm writing and this take, and I'm doing it at this time. Yeah, and it's like, this is giving the context to the mindset I was in and the things I was thinking and feeling. So I think it's interesting. And that's what we do as artists. If I'm going through a great time, I'm probably gonna write some more fun, chill songs for me and the boys to be singing at a campfire, be vibing out. There's gonna be some ukuleles for sure. But if I'm feeling slighted by somebody that I put a lot of trust and time into, you might hear a darker trap beat and me talking something on it. That's how it goes. I feel like as creatives, that's what I wouldn't say, like, I'm not very religious, so I wouldn't say like blessed with, but that's like something that we kind of carry, is the ability to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely in us.
Yeah.
In our DNA.
I won't even say it's an ability, because for me, I feel like I was very, very bad at like most of the creative endeavors that I started out doing. When I started, I think I was terrible at everything. But I really wanted to be good at them. And I think in honing that skill, absolutely, is sort of giving me, like, it's an itch now. If I feel something, I have to make a song about it. Or I get in trouble sometimes at work because I'm at work doing something and I get a lyric and I don't give a fuck. Fire me.
I'm so glad. There was this one, I was bartending a quinceañera for 800 people.
Oh shit.
And I slipped into the cooler, and because I had this whole 5-part thing in my head, and I was just like
yeah.
Fuck, I got to go back out there real quick. Like, I'm looking for the Corona, and then run back in and get it. But like, I think that's a really cool part of who we are.
Yeah.
That's just, it has to get out.
You have to, and if you don't, like, if I don't, I feel guilty, because then what happens is I forget it. It's fleeting when you get those moments of like true inspiration. There's ways to kind of callous your mind to be able to do it easier, and doing it every day and stuff like that. But when you get that, like, really that thing, you're like, oh fuck, and if you don't go do it right away, it's gone. And then you're just sitting there like, I don't even know what I forgot, but I'm fucking pissed at myself that I forgot it. And it's an annoying thing. But it's interesting. And so you, in your time, bringing a circle us back to Minnesota, right? In your time in Minnesota, you got to open up for some dope artists as well, right? We talked about this last time you were here, when you were after Taylor's show.
I'm really grateful to JSO for bringing me on stage for those moments.
Yeah.
Tech 9 was a big one.
That's insane.
That was a very fun. Young Gravy opened too. That was absurd.
Did you meet Young Gravy?
No, I didn't want to meet Young Gravy.
Why?
Young Gravy didn't want to meet anyone else, and also I was not digging the vibe, nor was the room. It was kind of like, that's why it's so weird, because this was a little, like, he ascended pretty substantially, and he's from Minneapolis, so it was just like,
he went to Madison, I think, for school too for a little bit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
But just like, imagine Tech 9's fans and Young Gravy fans
not the same,
blended, and then like, we're our own, we're doing our own thing, and it's just like, this is interesting. But it was so sick. I cringe at my performance. Like, I can run the tape back in my head and be like, all right, that moment, that breath, that tonality, like, the stakes felt that high to me. It's
damn.
like, because we're opening for Tech 9.
I mean, he's like, for a long time, the GOAT, maybe even still arguably like the GOAT for independence as an artist.
He's the highest selling touring artist of, like, for the last however many years. He tours more than anyone in the country. And
he's up there now, right? He's almost 50, maybe he is 50. Yeah. That's crazy, dude.
Yeah. And it's like, he's not necessarily who I turn on all the time, but he's really, really good at what he, like, it was really inspiring.
Bro, yeah, he's somebody. The thing, I love a lot of Tech Nine. I listen to me and my friends used to listen to a lot of him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna pretend that I've been super tapped into anything he's done recently.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know because I know he releases a lot of music.
Yep.
But
A lot.
he's a workhorse, and he built a following, and he knows exactly what they want, and he
Yeah.
knows that kind of music. He knows how to make that.
Midwest too, dude.
Yeah.
Kansas City.
He's super talented, and it is crazy that he's so close to where we're at. But I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine him and Gravy performing in the same night. And I love Gravy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoy Young Gravy's music. I think he's talented. I think he's a hilarious personality as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could not imagine if those two songs came on shuffle, like the shuffle.
Back to back.
I'd be like,
Yeah.
it's a
Let
different
alone having
vibe.
the fans all in the room, and I have a degree in sociology and education, and I just love moments like that where you see, oh, Gravy's on the bill now, like, oh, this is gonna be an observational opportunity. Like,
So was there like, do you think how much crossover do you think they have in fans? There's got to be a little, right? I know
I suppose.
Tech Nine is he is from
Yeah.
what I've heard, he is his like fan base, especially that come to shows. 'Cause I know he's talked about it in music. He is a high percentage of white people that
A
do
lot of
really
bikers too.
bikers too.
A lot
Interesting.
of bikers. Yeah. So I was watching on Gravy, like, jump in, stage dive into the crowd rapping about, and the people are just like, when is Tech Nine coming on? Like,
Yeah.
But it's cool though too to be able to just recognize that the whole night was pure, you know.
Yeah,
It was really cool.
that's the beauty of being on the come up as an artist, right? Getting to
Yeah.
see stuff like that.
It's
and
so sick, and it's cool the people who come up after and they're like, I don't know who the fuck you are, but like, it's really nice to meet you. And I'm like, this is what I do this for, connecting with people. And like, it's been really hard over the last couple of years, just with inaccessibility of venue spaces to perform.
Yeah.
And I'm really itching to do that for that reason of being able to connect
yeah,
those pure moments.
it's a different feeling when you're actually getting to like. I think it brings a different life into your own music,
Yeah.
where especially people where we're not Drake, there's not 20 guys in the studio with me trying to like make sure that I'm having a good time, and I'm like, oh, they're all having, like, very rarely am I recording with a lot of people. I'm recording, I'm writing by myself, I'm doing it, and I mix and master. So it's like there's a lot of songs that no one else will fucking hear until it comes out. My brother will hear it. I'll be like, hey, you fucking listen to this a couple times, and he'll hear it a couple hundred times. But other than that, no one else is fucking hearing the shit
Right.
until it comes out. And so when you do that, and people share it on social media, don't stop doing that. I love when you guys do that. But it's a different when you see that, and then afterwards someone comes up to you. I had a high school bully of mine come up to me,
Nice.
almost in tears, and like give me a hug and be like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, he's
Let's
like, your
go.
shit, like,
Let's go.
he
That's
literally
huge.
he was like what did he say to me? He's like, man, I was so nervous that you guys weren't gonna be able to do it, and you did it, man, and you're killing it. I'm just so proud of everything you got going on. And like, we don't talk.
Yeah.
We didn't talk prior. We didn't talk really after.
Yeah.
But like in that moment that you're connecting with that person, it's a bizarre feeling.
It's a
and
beautiful thing. It
really great.
breaks a lot of barriers down, you know.
What's the sweetest thing someone's ever said to you after a show?
After a show, well, it kind of goes hand in hand with during the show. I was doing a song, and I look in the crowd, and this girl is singing the whole chorus, and like, I had just put it out the day, and I'm just like, oh my God. And then she came up to me and said, this song like has helped save my life over the past couple days, and like, I want to go get counseling because of your song. Thank you. And I just like,
Damn.
I don't know where I broke down or when, like how many minutes later, because the adrenaline was in, but like, I definitely, that hit me hard, you know.
Oh, how could it not? That's crazy.
And it kind of, in a way, retroactively justified all of the second guessing of, is this even worth doing? Yes, it is, because there are people out there who receive it. For me, it's not about how many people, like, it would be nice to get enough to live off of, bro, but
Yeah.
I'm also like planting these seeds for people I'm never gonna meet. That's my favorite part about I guess music, but libraries especially, is that's just hundreds and hundreds of years of dead people who used to not be, and who bore whatever it is that they felt was important enough. So I'm trying to do that too, like I think hopefully 100 years from now, some random ass person finds my submerged vinyl and at this back end shop and is like, who the fuck is it? Like,
Yeah.
because there are people who've saved my life that have been dead for hundreds of years, you know, and it's like, wow. I think the only way to retroactively thank them is to think along that same way.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way of looking at especially art, you know, in that it's so impactful to have somebody come up to you just a couple of days after this thing and you save this person's life potentially.
Or
you know,
or it provided
impacted
something in
it.
a moment to help them hold on to something, you know, or
Yeah.
help reach for something.
Or like I think it's similar to kind of what you're describing is like I try to think of the songs that I was listening to even when I was in like high school, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're finally like creating like your own music taste, you know, because
Yeah.
like up until then you're kind of got your parents' stuff, and
Yeah.
we didn't have like we had like a family laptop, so
Mm.
like I didn't get a lot of time on that
Right.
until a certain age, and it would like I would wake up before school every day when I was a freshman in high school at like 5 a.m, so that
Just to listen
because
first.
just to go on this laptop that we
Mm.
shared, because like I couldn't use it any other time of day,
Yeah.
and I would just like I'd heard someone like say a name of an artist at school, and I would just look up that person, top 5 songs by so and so,
Hell
top 10
yeah.
songs by so and so, and that's like
savvy, dude.
but that's all I would do, and like
Yeah.
every morning like I would get up and like I would literally be doing my homework because I hated doing it the night before. I'm just a procrastinator,
Yeah.
so like I would do it the day it was due
Mm.
in the morning while I'm like listening to the top 5. That's how I found out who Tech Nine was, actually, was during
Okay.
this time,
Yeah.
because I was like he was advertised for a show at the rave, and I
Ah,
got a
gotcha.
targeted ad. So
Yeah.
good job YouTube and the rave. But
yeah, shout out Rave.
so
I
then
opened for Yo Gotti at the Rave.
Yo Gotti,
in
really?
2013.
Did you meet him?
Talking about weird times. I didn't even make the show.
What?
Yeah.
How did you open for him?
Well, on the drive there, we looked to our right and we realized on the interstate that is Yo Gotti's limo next to us. So we were just freaking out the whole time, like blasting his music, just like you probably don't even know we're opening for him. But when I say open, dude, this was like a contest that the Rave had. Like once you get 50, like submit a song, and once it hits 50 shares, like you get to open for him.
Interesting.
And they just put you like on a side stage. Great sound system, but like basically the gates were closed, and while people were waiting to get into the main room, that's when they were
They're being forced to
performing.
listen to you,
Yes.
basically.
And they're also 200 yards away at that gate, so you're like rapping across the football field, just trying to win them over, you know,
Yeah.
and like get someone to come up. And
You
like,
just gotta be like, hey, who's hyped for Yo Gotti? They're like, hey, this is
Yeah.
my song called Shut
Yeah,
the Fuck
yeah,
Up.
And then it's like, oh shit, when is he done? Like,
Yeah.
so you know, but those are really cool learning moments too, and you still felt like on top of the world, you know. It's just like,
Yeah.
no matter what, I opened for Yo Gotti. It was funny though, because after that, I think we met a couple people, and then someone's like, let's go do something creative, and we just didn't go to the show.
Yeah.
And I regret that though, because
Was
I
that with
wanted to see
was
that.
that with JSO, or was that with someone your
no,
other?
that was just me.
Okay.
I used to just enter contests, and like
Okay.
I opened at a airplane hangar UFC event in Milwaukee in like 2012, and won a clothing sponsorship and from this contest. And
What clothing
I was just
sponsorship?
throwing
That's
myself-
interesting.
yeah, my I've known Chad Addy. Shout out to Chad Addy for a while. Lived in Janesville too. We worked at a lumber yard together one summer, and I'm like, hey man, I rap. I just put out my first tape. And he's like, oh, that's cool, man. I do clothes, and like we should collab on something down the road. And then he let me know he was doing a contest, and the winner was sponsored by him, Indestructible Clothing, his brand. And I got to go to Chicago Recording Company in Chicago, which is like a state of the art, like
Damn.
historic place where a lot of my idols have recorded. And so I got to do that, make a music video, and like
That's pretty sweet.
it was pretty fun. And I guess like
Shout out to, what was the name of it you said?
Chad Addy and Indestructible Clothing.
Indestructible
I
Clothing.
still have the
Shout 'em
shirt,
out.
and it's in perfect condition. I'm like, damn, dude, you knocked it out the
It
park.
is indestructible. Look at that, bro.
Yeah,
Just like
yeah.
it says.
Serious.
That's super cool, man.
yeah.
That's really cool. Now, you know, you mentioned this, you know, partnership with JSO at a
Yeah.
time. You guys were
Mhm.
performing a lot together. How is it for you when it comes to collaboration? I know we talked
Live for it.
prior, back when you had done Taylor's show, about a little bit about like you were used to be in like a duo or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Is what was the duo? Do you feel comfortable talking about that? We don't have to get
the
into
duo
it.
was the shit until we went our ways. But
Yeah.
again, Beloit College.
Were there some lines on this project addressing that? It sounded like there were a few that I felt maybe could have been applicable from the knowledge I do have on the situation.
I might have to go through and reread them. I can't think of like the specific one. I also, I'm
Have
not
you
sure.
responded with music? Have you ever? Because I know this was like an interesting situation for you. And again, we don't have to get into the details if you don't want to.
Yeah, I've responded to different things. I guess like when it writes itself out organically, and then I'm listening back, like, oh, my subconscious decided that now it's time to share this.
Mm-hmm.
Then it kind of happens. So I released like there's one song on here that was about a different roommate and a different kind of abuse. So like there are those moments. But
so you had this duo.
Yeah, we both went to Beloit College, and I I was trying to get this cute girl's number at lunch. She was a photographer, and I'm like, you do art, obviously, like that's awesome. And she's like, do you do art? And I'm like, I do music, but she's like, you need to go downtown, and there's this giant studio there, and you can take a class there. So I took a recording class. He was in it. I became best friends with the like TA, and we just went from there. I wrote everything. He sang. I would hum it into and be like, do this, and like he had one of the craziest voices I've ever heard in my life. It's like John Legend on steroids, dude. And,
Damn.
you know, we had that duo, and we shocked the shit out of people. You know, we'd show up, and like, I'm tall, he's a little shorter. I'm white, he's not. People think I'm gonna start singing. He starts singing. I come in rapping. They're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Like, who are these kids? Because that's really just what we were, and I think there was a lot of potential that we just will have ended up missing out on. Like if that would have been able to go, okay, there's a parallel universe where we're doing big things.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So what is it when it comes to collaborating? Because I know for me, I enjoy collaborating with people as well. Yeah, it's difficult though. With you too, man. We gotta do something.
It can be difficult, right? Like you actually take clients in, right? Like, yeah. So there's a little bit of a difference there versus working with who you want to. That collaboration process is different than like being obligated
when it comes to like making my own music, or like if people like, I don't do features for money. No. At least to this point I haven't. Yeah. Right. And I don't, to this point I also haven't paid for a feature. Mm-hmm. I enjoy working with people I want to work with. Yeah. So I have a song out with somebody, even if we're not cool now. Mm-hmm. You know, I love that song. I love that person in that moment for that time, you know, and I don't force things in that regard, you know. But when it comes to like, if I'm doing work for somebody, I'm doing work for somebody. You know, if someone's like, hey, I'm gonna pay you, you know, to do the song. I hate working at my other job, so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do this for my business. It's great. But yeah, for me, collaboration is tough just because everybody. I find, and this maybe because maybe this is in my own head a little bit, but I just think because people haven't gotten my ideas when I've told them originally, and when I speak on what I want to do, oftentimes people are like, you know, what are you? And then I go do it, and I show them it, and okay, I get it. Okay. So it's hard for me to like, do anything from a place of like from the ground up with people. Like I find more success in my collaborations where it's like, I go do the thing, I get it all ready for you to just come in and plug in. Because it's difficult for people. I don't know if it's people don't buy in. Maybe I'm a bad salesman about it. Or I don't know. Or maybe sometimes it just doesn't work out. Like for instance, I'd done a show a couple years ago, and it was the venue is not traditionally a music venue. They had stage equipment. They do stuff from time to time. They'll have bands and acts come in. And they had all this stuff and whatever. 2 weeks before the show, they end up letting us know that we loaned that stuff to this other band, and we're going to get it back for you guys. We'd booked the show 3 months in advance. And they're like, we were going to get it back, but they're in a different state right now, so we can't. Damn, dude. And they're like, so I don't know what you guys want to do. And what did you do? So I, to the dismay of some people close to me, and they did not want this, they thought it was a dumb idea, I did some research online. I went to Home Depot. I bought all the lumber, chopped it up, built a fucking stage, went and rented a PA system for the night.
That's incredible.
It was a lot of ridiculous shit that I ended up doing just to make sure it worked out. But for me, like the end product, like people are like, that's stupid. That's a ridiculous. Why are you gonna do that? That's kind of crazy. Like that's dumb. This is one show. I'm like, but the thing is, that was my first show. So I was like, this is my first show. It's me and my friend. Like there's no opener. I'm it.
You built the show.
You know,
dude.
so everyone who's
Yeah.
coming is coming for this, right?
Kudos
So
to you
like
for doing that. And I'm sorry that you had to work against so much like external resistance, but I'm glad you did it. Did it go well?
it went really well. We did a documentary on it actually. Because I was filming like the stuff. Yeah, I'll send it to you when we're done. It was really cool and it was a lot of fun. And I'm super thankful with the way it turned out. But it's something like that, for example, is something that everyone was just telling me like, this is really dumb. Don't do this. Don't waste the money on that. Don't do whatever.
Yeah,
and
people saying things are dumb. I don't know. It's kind of overrated to me unless they've.
Yeah. When it comes, I get most of it. The thing is, like, we've all been in a place where I don't think I've ever been in a place where
I'm sorry, but have the people, I can't lose it, the thought, have people who have been critiquing you like that ever been so bold as to do something like that? Because I think that's where the legitimacy kind of exits for me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, if you're not out here making bold moves and trying to make shit happen, like, to me, it just sounds like you want to be a naysayer. Like, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's what I will say. Yeah. None of the people that were like, this is a stupid idea or didn't understand it at all, have done anything similar.
Yeah.
You know, or anything and putting themselves out there.
I hope you don't have to be this petty, but it'd be cool if you were to send them the documentary like, hey, remember how you thought this was stupid?
Oh yeah, some of them watched it. We're good. Yeah. They know. They cool. and they got to see the other inner turmoil I was dealing with. But it was stuff like that, it bothers me, and like you said, credibility, right? If somebody that I know who's also taken similar risks and done similar things, it's like, hey, maybe you should try this. There's a credibility there where I'm like, okay, wait, maybe this person just cares about what I'm doing and they want to give me advice. Bro, as opposed to
this is so on the nose in terms of relatability for me right now, man, because a week ago I DM'd my friend and I said I'm going to walk across the country to TDE and I'm gonna try to talk to Top Dog or Punch or Isaiah Rashad, and I'm gonna have my hard drive with me. I'm just walking across. I'm gonna fucking do it, man. You've traveled all around the world for years and years and years. Like, you're gonna be the one to have to help me figure this out. And he's like, all right, dude, are you a little ramped up right now? And I'm like, clearly, dude, but extreme measures, right? I was trying to say to him, like, I want to Forrest Gump myself with a purpose. I'm not just running to run. I'm fucking getting to TDE, like J. Cole standing in the rain waiting for Jay-Z, or like, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
But then he's like, what are you gonna do when you get there? And I'm like, this is why I needed you to keep me in check, man.
Yeah.
I was just gonna, hooray, I'm here. And it's like, all right.
Could be interesting, man, if you got on TikTok and documented that every single day.
That's the thing too. And then it's like,
it would build some hype as you're doing it. People would come out and be like, look at this.
It's also crazy dangerous and like
super dangerous. Mike Posner walked across the United States.
He almost died. He got stung.
Yeah.
Terrifying. However, in that mode, man, you know, still trying to grieve Tristan, trying to grieve my friend Blue, who took their life like 2 weeks prior to like it got so intense, man, that I'm like, I just dropped this project and like I have the right cosigns from the people who mean the most to me. There's no reason that I shouldn't fully believe in this, but like I'm trying to shake shit up now because I'm trying to get us all to the table now before more of us pass. Like, it was that bleak to me. So I'm like, even less about generating the attention and shit, which would probably be nice because I'm broke as shit, and like if they would want to Venmo me some like macaroni and cheese money on my way through Idaho, like that would help me
for sure.
But like there'd be a lot that would have to go into it, and I think it'd be a lot easier if one person or a couple were to go with me. But A, that could come off as really self-absorbed, but B, it could be a cool, like, I don't know, I try to think of these grandiose ideas, and they don't ever fully dissipate. They don't always extinguish. Like, I've been thinking about trying to do something drastic for a while, but
interesting.
I can just believe that if Isaiah were to walk outside, open the door, and like, I believe in how that would go.
So you believe, so where does, it sounds like there is a lot of, you know, I mean, we were joking beforehand. You said that you're constantly in existential crisis.
Always, dude.
So it sounds like
that Kool-Aid.
There's an interesting kind of split going on within you, where it's like you believe in yourself, like, you know, you're good enough,
And I've been told that by the people
that mean it the most to you.
I have the utmost respect for, and yeah.
But you still seem, like you're when you're pulling off on social media because you feel like you're sharing too much or you're doing these things. But there's this other side of you that knows that what you're doing is important, what you're doing is good enough, like whatever. Why do you think there is such this split inside you?
I think it's that duality. Like, I need it to happen now, because of wanting to get everyone to the table, but then like, I know I have to get myself right, and that's been really hard. Again, the cyclicality of addiction and mental illness. It's like, bro, I haven't been able to get my feet under me in 10 years of doing this as a career, just because anytime there was some momentum gained, something would come in swinging. And so that's what the urgency intensifies for me to like want to walk across the country or do something that nuts.
Do you think it's just a matter of, because you're talking about like the cyclical nature of things, it feels like the pressure of the day-to-day or week-to-week shit that's going on is keeping you put
big time, dude.
And it's like you want to do this big thing that just starts, and once you just go in this new direction, like you'll be faced with new things day to day, but it won't be this.
I've been told by a few close family members of mine that I should consider applying for disability because of how debilitatingly unbearable actual work is for me. Like, I end up on the fetal position in the floors of break rooms, just like fighting demons the entire, like, I can't handle it. And then I usually fly off the fucking rail until I can, like, that's after I lost my Sea House job, the live venue job. That was like my favorite job ever. But I treat this music as a job. I even treat new releases like Jack's release, Future's release, Push It, like, that's me studying. Like, every Thursday at 11 p.m. when it all drops, like, I'm in study mode. This is who I am. So like this, I started a tangent, but it's important to me.
Well, you take it very seriously, and you definitely your stuff. I mentioned when I introduced you, you gave a TED talk on rapping hip hop in education and its place in education.
Right.
For people that haven't seen it, you should check it out. The TikTok, if you look up, I think the name of it, because I had just recently checked it out because I wanted to make sure that I had the title right, because I'd seen it a couple months ago. Hip hop's place in education.
Yeah, that's the
TED
one.
Talk.
Yeah.
You did it at Beloit College.
I did after I graduated.
I have so many questions about this.
Sure.
First off, how do you get asked to do? How does becoming a TED Talk speaker happen? How do you get asked? Do they ask you? Do you apply?
I got nominated by the dean of
Interesting.
the college. They wanted to do a TEDx event, and I was, I think, one of 2 alumni who got reached out to.
Interesting.
The rest were like professors, and so yeah, it was basically like, hey, we want you to apply for this TED event, so we need like a 11-page brief summary of like what you'll be doing, and you have like 2 weeks to submit it. And I was like, oh
wow,
I didn't even know that this was on my radar, and I already have a deadline. And like, holy shit. So it was like,
what did they think you were going to talk about? What you ended up talking about?
Yeah, because I outlined it all in the like whatever form, and I even got to do like a mini run through a couple days prior. I ended up scrapping the whole thing the night before, by the way. I finally reread the rules and was like, oh, I didn't cite these sources right. This image is, oh man. So I just chucked it, which I think saved me because it was so fresh in my mind. I was like cramming procrastinator style that I didn't use a note card. I just like, I'd take a little peek at the screen and be like, I've memorized these over the past 4 hours. Like,
yeah.
So the experience itself was unreal.
I mean, it's crazy, dude. You fucking gave a TED Talk.
Yeah,
you had a post somewhere buried in your Instagram that was like, "Welcome to my TED Talk" with a picture of you in it, and I'm just like, dude, that's hilarious because of like the meme of that and how people say that, but like you actually gave a fucking TED Talk.
Yeah, it has special meaning to me too, because TED Talks, there were some that saved my life. When I was 18, going into sophomore year of college, I was really, really in a dark place, and the concept of humanism was something that I started to gravitate to. As an atheist, I was like, humanistic, okay, that's really important to me. But then the other thing was the TED Talks, and humanist TED Talks, and I was just like, I remember in my head saying, I need to give one of these one day, but I did not anticipate like 2 years later getting an email, dude. So
that's a manifestation right there.
Yeah, I almost actually applied to do a TED residency a couple years ago, where you go live in New York for like a month at the TED headquarters, and then you give an actual TED talk. But
damn,
I got so nervous during the application process. It was so lengthy. It was like a boot camp for just vetting out and I'm like, okay, maybe one other day, some other time I'll try it. But
that's fair.
Yeah, man,
that's crazy. So
thanks.
you know, I want to get into some of the stuff you talked about, because I think you did a phenomenal job. First off, it looks like an interesting atmosphere, especially for someone speaking about hip hop. Is
a
it
lecture little room?
Is it weird or intimidating to break out into rap mid thing in front of a bunch of I don't want to say that's everybody, but I think most people. What's the demographic of people that go to a TED talk? I should say.
Oh, that's a great question.
A lot of older.
I think it kind of varies based on the region, based on
Who was at yours?
Well,
a lot of old white guys.
Well, it was hosted at the college, so there were like actual college students who dropped in. There were a limited amount of tickets. A lot of them went to family members, and also just like all of the administrators. Like the president was sitting in the front row, like next to my grandma and grandpa, and I'm just like, this is a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But also the lights were really bright. I didn't really see anyone but the front row, which I think was worse, because it was just my family and like the head honcho.
Yeah. And then
breaking out in the song was really I don't like doing that. I've learned, I forget what it's called. I don't know if it's a Malcolm Gladwell book. I think the book's called Choke. But in times of intense nervousness and anxiety, your vocal register actually goes up. It inflects. It becomes like less dipped down. So I just remember when I started breaking out into that, I can just hear my voice, and I'm just like, ooh, that register, man, you should have. You should have figured that one out. But it was about the message within it, and I think that's the coolest part about. I just wanted to have a TED talk. I didn't know why. I thought maybe I would be doing something that was worth saying, and then I had the opportunity to kind of rehash all of my idols and mentors through the educational field and what they're up to, and like what we could really do pedagogically to like reinvigorate our youth.
Yeah.
Like there are so many ways to engage and to help explore inner narrative, and I loved all of that.
Yeah.
I taught in high schools. I did literature and identity, social justice kind of workshops. Those were fun.
That's what I was going to ask. So you did high school. You taught in high school?
I taught in high school. I taught in middle school. I taught anti-bullying. I was an anti-bullying coordinator for middle school kids.
Very cool.
That was really great. I love those kids.
And so you mentioned one of the big words of your presentation. Culturally relevant pedagogy.
Yeah.
Is something that you speak of in this TED. What the fuck is that for people to know?
Well, okay, so pedagogy just means teaching practices. Like a pedagogical practice is just how you teach. So making a teaching practice rooted in cultural relevance is what you try to start at. Like in a classroom, where does the culture reside? The relevant culture. Is it necessarily always going to be in this textbook, this outdated textbook? Or do we have enough narratives amongst ourselves that if we just apply some lenses in multidisciplinistic ways and stuff, like we arrive not only at a more knowledgeable conclusion about the world, but the classroom as a community, and then yourself in negotiation with those things.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting to, bring up the relevancy of, especially when it comes to culture. I mean, hip hop specifically is the most popular genre in the world right now. Has been for a couple years.
Hell yeah.
Probably gonna be for a few more years, quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, let's hope so. I enjoy it quite a bit.
What do you think it is about it?
I think
it surpassed what? What did it just surpass? Was it pop?
I don't.
Or
yeah.
was it like,
well, I
think rock was
prior.
a while ago.
Yeah, rock was like quite a while ago, but I think like pop music, because now pop music, they rap.
Morphing into
yeah. Like Ariana Grande's got a verse on Thank You Next and shit like that.
Doja Cat's the shit.
Doja Cat is the shit. I'll put some
like
fucking
that.
respect on Doja Cat's name,
That's
bro.
right.
She is phenomenal.
Yeah.
She's a gifted rapper as well as a pop artist. But
yeah, I think one thing too, real quick, is to me the thread was so visible with hip hop and it's identity, man. It's your narrative. Like
Yeah.
putting just any energy you infuse into a product that you release outside of yourself. That's what it's about.
Well, and I think the beauty, I think it's the realness of it. I think it's the way that you can just sort of, how I was explaining earlier, point things out and be like, this is what's going on. Not that you can't do that in other genres, but I've noticed as hip hop has become the most popular genre, it's made other genres better, in my opinion.
That's a good point.
Like, I mean, pop music, there's a lot
worse, like country.
Yeah, I saw there's some worse.
No,
but
there's some.
But I mean, even pop music, man. Like, you think about it now. Like, I was jokingly saying, Ariana Grande will drop a 16 in a song.
Yeah.
But she can do things in that 16 that she may not have been able to get across or do in the rest of a traditional formulaic pop song. And I think it's made pop music more real.
Mm-hmm.
It's made a lot of pop artists more relatable. Not saying that if you don't enjoy the genre that you should just bite it just so you can chart on urban radio as well. That's fucked up. But I think in general, a lot of the hip hop music that becomes pop music that goes charts #1. I mean, even look at someone like Drake, dude. He's, a lot of Drake's stuff, people have their opinions on him, but I mean, he's popularized a lot of rap.
Oh, hell yeah. He's had the whole, come on now. He's one of the most influential artists, like, fucking ever. It's undeniable, and that's what pisses me off, because he uses, like, Meek Mill literally had his career by the throat, man, and no one cared.
Yeah.
Meek was like, Quentin Miller writes your shit.
Yeah.
And Drake was like, he just, I don't know. I get worked up about it. Shout out Quentin Miller, dude, because that was like finding out Santa wasn't real to me, man. Like, when Meek, and he had the receipts for it, I'm like, wait, Drake doesn't write his shit? I was really naive, though. I didn't know that they're like actual writing camps, and like Rihanna used to fly people out to the islands to like giant writing camps of like 30-50 people who are just trying to make a living off of getting like one hook in there so they can like eat. We had a performer, a songwriter who was at one of Rihanna's shops, and he said it was just like the most intense shit, because you just wanted lines so you get money to feed your family.
Well, that's interesting, because that's one of an artist that I love him still. I just haven't really enjoyed a ton of his newer stuff, but he is like someone that really I resonated with was Black Bear and Mike Posner. Both of them were in Neo's camp.
Yeah.
Like, they both wrote for Neo and for Justin Bieber.
Mike Posner is a great ghostwriter, dude.
Insane, bro. And I have the most respect for both of those guys.
Pooh Bear too?
Pooh Bear? Oh no, I haven't.
Pooh Bear's a big one.
Really?
Pooh Bear does a lot of shit for Justin.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
But all these guys.
Fontaine, huge. Like,
oh yeah.
For
Snooze.
a number of artists.
I'm gonna reach out to Snooze. I want to get Snooze on the podcast. He's fucking super talented. He wrote a bunch of like Black Bear's biggest projects.
Oh, no kidding.
He's helped write for him. So then Black Bear got a camp once he got bigger and stuff. It's interesting. But even, dude, Future's written songs for a fuck ton of people too. I believe he wrote work for Rihanna and Drake. Like, he wrote like the idea of that song. I don't know how much of it he wrote. Yeah. But it's interesting.
I'm an anti-ghost writer, by the way. Like, in terms of like
making music.
Like that's okay. But I take it with a little bit of. I just prefer a Kendrick Lamar over like a team of 40 people making a hit song.
How much of it?
Soul person's like.
Yeah.
Heart.
Well, I agree, and I guess my whole thing is and I guess people have their own different ideas on how much the involvement was, because obviously there's those two tapes, right, of Quentin Miller that he literally had sent to Dre, and those had gotten leaked. Yeah. I just don't know how much has really been, how much of his entire catalog, because that's what people just go, oh, he doesn't write any of his shit now, and it's like his pen is pretty impeccable, Drake, like he's pretty fucking insane when it comes to rap.
I just want to know who, though. When I hear a bar and I'm like, that's so cool, I would like to know where to send my regards, because I don't know if it's necessarily Aubrey right now. Like, I want to give shine to the people who, like, I don't know, I wish that.
I respect that. That's a valid stance. I think that is if there is a consolation prize for how that beef ended up going between the two of them, I think that would be the prize that Meek would get, is that he did. That will forever be in question because of that, and it's the same, so that is something that I think is interesting. But I'm a huge Drake stan. Like, I love, like, I love Drake, Kanye, Drake. Like, it was weird when they were beefing, and I was covering it here on the show like every week.
What's
and
your favorite song off Views?
Off Views? what's I should be downtown walking on the
Feel No
way.
Ways, dude?
Yeah.
I'm so
Feel
glad
No
you
Ways,
said that.
yeah.
I only
think-
asked that question in the hopes that you would say that.
Yeah, Feel No Ways. I mean, you know what's
Did you see
crazy?
this? Yeah, go ahead.
People hate that album. I genuinely really loved that album when it came out. And I still listen to a lot of the songs that are on it.
Dude,
It's
Controlla, Nuts, One Dance, Bonkers.
well, and people were trying to do the whole like,
Turn
oh,
a 6 to a 9 now. That was a
Damn,
bar.
yeah.
That one I was like,
if they don't got
oh.
a story these days, they'll make one. Like he dropped a lot of shit, and people try to pretend like everyone says now, like, oh, that was the worst shit ever. Dude, that was the 21 song project, I think, or something like that, and it was
long.
21. It was number 1 through 21 for like 4 weeks on the
yeah,
fucking
yeah,
charts. So
yeah.
it's like it's the same thing when
Yeah,
people
so
were
it's
trying to.
undeniable, you know?
Yeah, well, people were trying to say when I remember when Ye did the seven drops or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
those albums,
Mhm.
like people were trying to say, oh, he's rushing, he's forcing, these songs aren't good, this is trash. Everyone's trying to say this is trash, dude. When Ye came out, that album was number 1 through 7, and then
Yeah,
whatever
it just
project.
kept going like that. Tiana Taylor.
She
and
was
then-
the 8 through whatever, and
Yeah.
then fucking Nas was fucking 12
Yeah.
through. It was
won a
like,
Grammy,
yeah, I was like, come on, dude. Like people, I think when you get to a certain level of success, people are just going to
Oh yeah. why
down
not?
because it's. I think I don't know if I'm the biggest. I don't know how I want to say this, but Jack Harlow, he got a line on his new project where he says, it's on the Churchill Downs, and he says,
It's an awkward song for me, in my opinion.
there's a line I can tell he re-recorded.
Really? He punched.
The second line of the song, because I know he said, I think there was a leak of it, and then people were like clowning on him,
What was the line?
and he like changed a bunch of lines, I guess.
Okay.
But and I do think the song is good. But it's the second line, I don't remember. You can hear it in his voice, totally different, probably
Yeah.
different microphone.
Kanye's really good at exposing himself with his punch-ins too.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but what is the line he has? Like he's like, I guess when the whole world loves you, like you have to do something else to stand out. And it was like the line prior was like saying like you used to be a fan, but you're not a fan now or something.
Okay.
And it was like, so and I do think that is a relatable line for people with a bunch of success. I do not have that success, so
Yeah,
it would not be
relate.
relatable for you wouldn't be standing out by hating me. You should save that for after I've been wherever I need to go.
That's right.
But
That's right.
no, I love Drake. I think he's the god. I don't even know how we.
Real quick, I
got
don't know,
into
but I
that.
have to tell you the Drake story. You probably have heard of it when Out West was at Coachella a year or two ago. When Tyler's festival,
Camp Flognaw, yeah.
and he said the headliner is a surprise special guest.
They
You remember
wanted
that
Frank
story?
Ocean and they got Drake and they booed like
Yeah.
a bunch of fucking spoiled.
Yeah, and Drake performed "Feel No Ways" though, which is a deep cut, and it's Tyler's favorite. He specifically asked, and then there's a video of him dancing to it. I love that video. dude.
That's fucking sick.
Yeah,
dude.
it's his favorite. It's your favorite. It's my favorite. There's something about that song, man.
It's a phenomenal.
I would believe
song.
if Kanye wrote that for some reason.
I don't know how I would ever get clearance to it, but there's a song that I have that it samples it, and
Really?
I love it.
So,
But yeah, that song is phenomenal. I don't know how we got all the way there. We were in a TED talk, and then we
now
we
it's
kind of
Drake.
got all the way around. Now it's Drake. Now, I asked you about did it feel weird breaking into rap in front of everybody? We got to that.
Yeah.
I wanted to get, or I guess let's wrap it up on the TED Talk thing. Any last thoughts or feelings towards the TED Talk?
Yeah, if whoever views this, if you liked that one, I really recommend that you look up Bettina Love's TED Talk about hip hop and grit. She's one of my mentors. There are a lot of really cool people out there doing incredible work in the educational fields in authentic and valuable ways. Gloria Ladson Billings is one as well. She has a terrific set of books. She's a superpower hero person. So
Very
I just
cool.
wanted to plug them as well.
No, that's super cool. Now obviously, so we're kind of segueing from hip hop and education to
Yeah.
I want to get to you. I want to get to Troyleft specifically. I mentioned that Say Less, personal favorite of mine
Yeah.
on the project. What's if there is a through line for this project, if you could classify, what would that be? What would be if you had to describe it to somebody? If you had to give me like a introductory paragraph to this project.
This is if you took the concept of the life of Pablo and Daniel Johnston's discography and put it in a blender and then dumped in a bunch of real life experience, like traumas, repeated traumas, different iterations of them, and then you dunk them in there, and then you're gonna get something. But then you dunk it back into the existential tank, right? Because that's one of my most therapeutic parts about the writing process for me is like I say a lot of vague shit. Like they're very big concepts that don't really, like, I'm not really telling. I'm giving you little pieces, and then as a whole, it's like, okay, here's the feeling. Like basically negotiating with what you can't get to the bottom of is what I feel like a lot of times. Be that pain, be that love, be that beauty. Like,
yeah. That's a cool way to do it.
Yeah.
It's a unique way, an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. And the life of Pablo is why I'm still tinkering with things, because I do think that was one of the most profound things I'd ever heard, right? Like Kanye's like, oh, this is just going to be a forever project. And like he's uploaded it 4 different iterations.
I was fucking pissed at the time.
I was too. I actually was
so
too.
mad.
I was livid. And then I'm like, you know what? This is actually brilliant, because he has the status now, right? Where like version 1, 2, 3, they're probably all on the internet. Like the bootleg versions, you can see like which one it is. I think that's cool. I think we as artists should be allowed to like do whatever. But like I said, it was like life-saving to me, because I had to put something out, but I knew it wasn't totally arranged right. But I at least got to get it out there, and like it's only getting better. And once it hits streaming, that's when I'll have stepped away.
Yeah.
But it's been cool to like, there are some people like I'll upload a track and then I see that they're trying to stay up to date on, oh, this is a new one, or like this is a different version, and he probably did that for a reason, like as the artist.
It is interesting.
But it was a bummer though on Pablo that they took off
Frank's track.
Yeah.
Switched it to Frank's track, and
yeah.
he
And
used
Vic
to do
Mensa was in there on Wolves. I don't think he is anymore. Or some
No,
shit.
I don't think so.
Little things like that. I'm like, oh, I wonder why. But
Well, dude, it's like if you listen to like the what is it?
Yandi?
The Yandi leaks, and like some of that shit is like what was on Donda, or like the Donda leaks.
Yeah.
Like
I honestly,
my brother showed me
Yeah.
some of the, was it Hurricane? You showed me the one version of, bro. Yeah, dude. I mean, I can't honestly. I just wish you would just drop all the versions, because like I don't like a version better. I think the version that came out is fucking phenomenal of Hurricane specifically.
Also recency bias, right? Or like our initial impression of that experience was the first version.
Yeah.
We're not gonna, just like a book translating to a movie. It's like you really gotta. That's a stretch, but like
No, yeah.
yeah, Kanye does some wild. The way I had this whole theory about his Donda release. I thought it was so cool. It's weird to be a Kanye fan because you say that, and now you're assuming the entirety of him, right? Like,
Everything he does.
yeah,
is,
it's like no. When I say I like, it doesn't mean like now I feel the need to justify what specifically I don't fuck with and do. And it's
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
But I think we can all acknowledge how undeniable like he lives. His art is so grandiose in its presentation, and like some pretty cool shit.
I mean, it's once in a lifetime
Yeah.
to see somebody like. I'm thankful that I get to witness what he does. He's insane. He is.
I hope he gets help though.
He's like a modern day Michelangelo. Like imagine seeing Michelangelo make a sculpture.
Oh yeah. Are you mic'd up too? You can turn your mic on. Yeah.
Do that.
Yeah. What did you say? You could.
Who
You
we
could
got with us
repeat it.
right
Yeah.
now?
He's
Who's
like,
this?
He's like a modern
this
day
is Logan.
Michelangelo.
I know.
I'm Logan,
Okay.
his brother.
There
But
we
it's
go.
like a modern day Michelangelo. Imagine seeing somebody of that magnitude, like that great at art, just kind of, I don't know, just do that in their time. Like this is like something. So they're creating something timeless in front of our eyes. Like we're seeing
Right.
something that will live
Yes.
to impact the rest of generations and the rest of life.
I think even too, like
Yeah,
just
dude.
the impact it has right now is insane.
Mhm.
Like the Donda rollout is a perfect example, and I think he did it. Like I'm sure there was probably second guessing even with that on like how many, because he's doing those pre-release shows and changing and tweaking, and
Yeah.
I think he hit like the perfect sweet spot where like if he does that 2 more times, some people are gonna be like, bro,
No.
fuck this,
But
but he
I-
does it the
dude,
perfect amount.
I think that was my favorite release of anything ever, and it was 3 different experiences, dude. It started out just him on the fucking football field and he's walking around. Then there's a bed, right? And then there's this house, and I'm like, this is so brilliant. And
Yeah.
to your point, Logan, like, and yours as well, we're witnessing it in real time, and like, this is the Michelangelo process we're witnessing on a musical level, and like, that is so cool to see that those like changes and the fucking like I would love to just be a fly on the wall during their sessions, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want that. I want the rough edits. I want to see how it morphs and changes and where it lands. Like, give me that, because as an artist, those are the collaborative spaces. Those are like the rooms that I've lived things on, not that level, but like those.
We relate to it, dude. And the thing, have you seen the Yeezy or the Ye documentary, the Genius documentary?
Yeah.
I fucking love it. I wish we were
Shout
just
out
talking
Cootie,
about.
dude.
Shout out Cootie. We were talking about it today. I'm pissed that they fucking didn't hang out for 6 or whatever year.
Yeah.
Because I want to see all that shit too, man. I just wanted to see more. And like what you were saying about, like, you've experienced similar things, maybe not on the same level. For me, a reason especially after watching the documentary, that I like resonate even so much more with Kanye than I already did was because, like, what I was explaining earlier with, I feel like sometimes I go to people with my ideas because I just want to tell somebody, I want to share it, and they're just like, I don't get it, man. The energy doesn't meet it, and I have to go show you before. And I think back to, obviously I'm not making Yeezys, but I think back to that interview with Charlemagne, where Charlemagne's like, but we don't care about the Yeezys. The people don't care about the Yeezys. He's like, no, they do. They will. And it's like, they already do, and they will even more. And Yeezy made him a fucking billionaire, you know? And so it's like, not to say I'm a billionaire, obviously, but there are times, especially as a creative, where, you know, I mean, you were almost going to call this project Call Me Crazy. You feel kind of crazy sometimes.
I was called it 4 times in a week, man. Like, people, I was just trying to, like, check some food out at the grocery store, and it's just like, dude, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, so I don't know. Again, shout out Daniel Johnston. Again, like, I've never felt more connected to an artist in my life. So if people are like, why does this sound? Again, it's Daniel.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
I haven't listened to any Daniel Johnston.
If I had one song for anyone to get put on, it's The Story of an Artist by Daniel Johnston. Like, that is, I played that in rehab for, like, other people. I've played it on the way to a bunch of, like, and I didn't like it when I heard it first. I was just like, this is, you know, this isn't polished. Like, there's so much good music to listen out there. Like, why would I spend my time on, like, a unfinished thing? And I'm like, wait a minute, this was, people could check it out.
Very cool. And what's the name of it again? The Story of an Artist?
The Story of an Artist.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. Well, you guys are gonna have to check. I'm gonna have to check that out as well. Sure. Now shifting gears.
Let's do it.
Somewhat comedical, or somewhat comical, somewhat oh
hell yeah.
A little bit. Maybe this will get us into a dicey situation.
Oh.
You mentioned beforehand, before we went live, you have certain artists blocked on social media.
Oh.
Or they have you blocked.
Yeah, Wi-Fi's Funeral blocked me.
You have a song with Wi-Fi's Funeral, correct?
No.
Is that just that's a remix
why he
thing?
Blocked me.
Is that
but
why?
I think that's whack, to be honest. So
because I was trying to figure out what that was.
I had a friend come to me and he's like, "Yo, listen to this Wi-Fi's Funeral song," and I'm like, because I like Wi-Fi. I went to the Puya show at the rave just to see him, and then he didn't perform because he was resting his voice for the XXL show. So I was kind of bummed out about that. But my friend's like, listen to the song, the back half is open. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to fucking just try my best, and I'm going to send it to him and be like, what do you think? I showed a couple of my friends before I released it. They're like, yeah, you actually kind of held your own. Like, it's unique. So I sent it to him, and I'm just like, hey, man, you're a big influence to me. I saw this was open. Within 1 minute, I'm blocked. And I'm just like, okay, this could mean a lot of things, right? He could have just been like, get out of my face. He could have been like, why would you get on my shit that already exists? It could have been like, I listened to the song and I don't like it. It could have been
really sweet.
Whatever.
It was like immediately after he blocked you.
It was immediate. Just like, hey, man, I look up to you. Block. So then I go to my burner and I'm like, hey, man, the fuck? This is me from that other, a minute ago.
Yeah.
I just wanted to, my bad, dude, I guess. And, then I blocked him on that burner because I'm like, this is.
You got to get some semblance of a win.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I don't know. That's the second time that he retweeted one of my things once. And that day I tried to do a remix of one of his songs and send it to him. Like, I didn't know what to do in those situations, I guess. I was just like, oh.
So he retweeted a snippet or a song of yours?
No, not a song. It was just I made some comment about him and he thought it was funny and retweeted it. So I'm like, I got my foot in the door right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be that guy on Twitter. Like, oh, by the way, dude.
But it's the ones that, this could be the only chance. This could be that Kanye walks out of the hotel you're staying at and you get the chance.
The thing that is it has me petrified right now. Isaiah Rashad followed me last year on Twitter. I was in a fight with Anthony Fantano on Twitter, and
You guys
then,
are going
like,
back and forth?
yeah, I was.
No
was,
fucking
I was,
way, bro. We need to pull this shit
it's
up,
gone.
bro.
No, here's why it's
Oh.
gone. It's gone because I had to delete my fucking. Is it gone?
I can look
I
it
only
up.
have one tweet on my Twitter. I've deleted everything so many times.
Damn it.
But the story basically was like, Fantano was shitting on Isaiah's project, The House is Burning, and I just
Okay.
kind of, I can show you, like, I'll find it after the.
Yeah.
But
So it was with the needle drop, and he was coming at you.
he wasn't coming to me. I came at him, and then, fucking Top Dog, from like TDE label, right? The head honcho, like, of Kendrick.
Was he
and Isaiah.
did he say you shouldn't be commenting on rap music or like black people's music at all? Was that the comment? Because I know that happened recently as well.
That did happen, but it was a different time.
It was a different
so
time.
I was writing for Isaiah though. I was like, you don't understand what this man has been through, the addiction, the mental health problems. When you call this boring, you are just basically exposing yourself as this dude who was privileged enough not to fall into these holes and be resilient enough to fight the fuck through it after 4 years and put out a great body of work. You're not acknowledging any of the cool lines, any of the beautiful lines, any of the pain. You're not validating shit about it except saying it's bland. And then you have hundreds of thousands of listeners out there just being like, oh, yep, it's mid. And to me, that is not how you use that platform. So I don't know how I said that in like 8 tweets, but it was like an 8-tweet thing. And then like 10 minutes later, I get a notification. It's like Isaiah Rashad started following you. And I just like, that was the most profound moment of my life. Like, I check every once in a while. He still follows me. I don't know what it means. You know, I have no clue. But I would love more than anything to work with him.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to. I don't want to mess up this opportunity.
You ever post you rapping or you doing anything?
Yeah,
on
every
Twitter?
once in a while. He's also been completely off since shit hit the fan on him.
Damn.
So yeah, his Twitter's basically been frozen. But maybe one day I'll come out of hibernation and
That'd be super cool, man.
I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, that'd be.
Because he's one of my top 5 favorite rappers ever.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
And it's cool on him for seeing
Super
seeing
sick.
that you were riding for him and being like, yeah, man, that's crazy. What do you think about music critics in general, like Fantano? Do you think there is a
I've
space?
gotten mad at Fantano a bunch of times.
I think everybody has for sure.
Yeah, but I think I've interacted with him 3 times. Once was about Radiohead. Once was about Isaiah. Once was about some shitty ass thing that he said about drug use. It was just ill-informed. He was saying like he's the coke addict of the something in his. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying right now, dude. This is because I know he's like he tries to do the cringe stuff, the meme stuff. Like he's really good at what he does. I used to like he helped me a lot. Like
Fantano, that is.
Yeah, I used to watch him religiously because I love knowing a little bit more context into whatever, and he has a really great system, probably one of the more undefeated ones. That rating and the shirt thing, like that is addictive.
Yeah.
But I would much rather all day these days watch every single Nardwuar video on the planet than like click on and see what fucking he thinks about my favorite artist shit anymore, because I've realized that it's just his opinion and shit, but why am I getting so mad about it? Like, so
I think it's, what, I wonder why, because I used to get pretty upset with certain, artists that I liked that he would give a bad rating to, but it is, at the end of the day, it's just his opinion. And I think the reason his opinion maybe sometimes stings a little bit more is twofold. I think one, because of what you're mentioning, where like it's this huge platform and it's potentially now deterring people from enjoying the art that you enjoy,
right.
And then this other thing is that he is, at least I don't know if he went to school or what, but he's seemingly educated on music. So like he's a
music nerd.
It could be, even when sometimes I think he gets it wrong.
Yeah.
There's this thing where his opinion is validated because he knows all this shit. But sometimes you can know all that shit and still like just the point of the thing go over your head.
Or it's your own, and it's like your tunnel vision. His blind spots are pretty evident a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And like for again, I guess as we're talking about this, it's like, why does he never bring up any lyrics that are like, this is a really cool, like, let's look at the. He's usually clowning people, like, oh, look at this shitty ass bar, which is cool, but like when you're talking about the music and the arrangement and how lush, it's like, say a notable that like would make viewers who aren't familiar be like, oh, okay, but that's just me as a writer. Like, I can't play really any instruments anymore, but I value the voice, and I think he leaves a lot of that out.
So I could see that sometimes. I think he does he does bring up lyrics sometimes, but I think to your credit and to your point, I do think he most of the time he brings it up to meme a lyric or something. So yeah, that makes sense. What did he give Donda? 6?
I thought he gave Donda
Give-
7 maybe. No, it
Oh no,
was
it's 6. 6. He gave Certified Lover Boy 3, and he gave
I stopped watching that.
he
shit. I
gave
really have no
what
idea.
he gave my sister and my girlfriend are huge into Harry Styles, and I think he
Okay.
gave the first one a 5. Harry Styles' first project a 5.
Is that
And
the
his second,
watermelon sugar one?
that's his second one, and he
Okay.
gave that one a 6.
Yeah, dude, he gave Lil Pump an 8. Like, I don't really know what we're doing in these days. I
Yeah.
guess like it's
Pump project. What Lil Pump project?
The first
Lil Pump by Lil Pump.
no,
yes,
is that the
Okay.
one? Yeah.
it's either an 8 or 7. It was just it's like
That's deserving of like a 6. That's Lil Pump's best body of work. I mean,
I mean,
That
there's
is fair.
there's,
Lil Pump
there's
still,
something
but-
beautiful about it, and it's what it meant at the time. But like the fact that is getting that.
a bigger rating than like you could pull up a number of things he's given lower things and they're like actual damn near classic albums.
well, like
no.
respected things that have like culturally had significance. He'll be like, yeah, that's
Staying
like a 3,
power.
4.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I'll do a redux every once in a while and like either bump it up one or not even budge. Bro, he really pissed me off, I'll be real, and I regret not coming after him for this. Was he shit all over Swimming, Mac Miller. Like he shit on that man. Like
Yeah.
and it is a beautiful project. So, and also Speedin' Bullet to Heaven by Kid Cudi, he gave that shit a 0, and then he reduxed it and I think gave it a 0, and that shit pisses me off because you cannot tell me that there were 25 songs, you didn't even like one of them, like,
Yeah.
or you couldn't even connect with one moment, like, and maybe that's just how, as a critiquer, you know, as a critic versus somebody who wants to absorb the moment. Like, if I'm going to be listening to someone, I'm trying to lean in.
You're wanting to like
Right.
it, you know.
So
And-
a critic, it just might be like, okay, I have to be more objective here, which is a bummer. So I don't know.
Yeah, I always wonder how he I mean, I hope he likes. It sounds
Yeah.
like obviously he loves music. Says he's a music nerd, all this stuff. I'm sure he loves music.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, and I think people have asked him about it before. I can't remember his responses. About like how he listens to and enjoys music, because he's looking at it through this lens of a critic specifically and
Yeah.
pointing out little flaws and things in that nature.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. The only time I ever got like really upset was he does this segment called Why No Review every once in a while,
Yeah.
and it'll be like,
so he left one of your favorites off?
yeah, well,
Yeah.
Digital Drug Lord was a project from Black Bear that is like arguably his best project,
Yeah.
and the thing that bothers me about it is that like,
He didn't even acknowledge it.
you know, it was on the Why No Review, and he had like 30-40 seconds, and he's just like, this is so boring, so uninspired, like there's no staying power, no impact to the, and I'm just like, he wrote this project when he was dying in the hospital, and to say Black Bear's style has not been fucking copied by everybody now.
Oh God.
It's
yeah.
like, and I love Black Bear. I've used shit that Black Bear does. Like, it's influential. To say he's not influential, to say it had no staying power, he's just like, there's just like his voice is uninteresting, like whatever. Like these are just uninspired songs. Like there are songs on that project that like go so fucking ridiculously hard to this day, and it just bothers
Well,
me.
you know what? I don't know about his mental health, but like to me, he just seems like a fucking dude. Like I don't even know if he drinks beers, if he listens to his shit while he smokes a joint. Like I don't know what he does.
Yeah.
And for him to like, I don't know, he can just do him or whatever, but like I don't even want him to, even in a, you know, I used to be like, oh, I can't wait to see what he review of mine, like daydreaming about no, I don't care. Like,
I definitely still would like
you-
him to.
I would
review it.
I would tell him like, you need to get as fucked up as I was in like that headspace. Like you need to be there with me to really be there with me.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna just. It's gonna be a swing and a miss for him in terms of relatability for him, and I don't know how much he inserts himself to connect her. But
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of the
interesting
lines
too.
then he's just gonna be like, eh.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've thought about this. I think every
Yeah.
person that makes music has thought about like, oh, what would
would
he
you
do?
give him?
Yeah. I would be. I mean,
He
I would.
he shits on the avant-garde and underground scene too much. Is
That's fair.
What I would say.
I get weirded out because Fantano's a pretty big Death Grips fan,
Yeah.
and I like experimental stuff. I like Ghostman. I like all sorts of underground cool experimental stuff. But Death Grips, I don't know if you've ever heard Death Grips.
I have not.
Yeah,
No.
It's not even like,
It's a lot of calories.
it's like it doesn't even make any sort of sense. So it's like I don't like musically it doesn't really make that much sense. I mean, kind of it does, like if you break down their beats and stuff, but kind of not really at the same time.
That's
like,
interesting.
It's
Well,
probably the beauty of it.
I think
though,
I
right,
s-
is it's all subjective, and like we know that, but we still insert our own experiences into that. Like when he says that it was vapid or it was boring, like you connected to those songs. Now it's like a personal diss to you and your preferences.
That's why it
you
comes
know?
off that way.
Art's an extension
But
of yourself.
But
Period.
I've become, I guess, able to like compartmentalize that now. Because I used to, especially when I was younger, and that album came out when I was a freshman in college, I think, or just going into college. Wasn't even in college yet. And so I was like, I was upset when he did that. I don't even think I was a subscriber yet, but I would just like watch the videos and be upset and fucking dislike if I didn't like it. And no, I value him a lot, and I do enjoy him. I do think he's a funny guy. I do think he is very entertaining, and like you said, the system is
Did you watch
phenomenal.
Sean C at all?
I watched Sean C as well.
Yeah.
They both actually had a conversation together not too long ago.
They did,
and I almost
only
quit
didn't
making music.
because
Because of it, I almost quit making music because of it, dude.
What do you
I was like
mean?
having like such a break because I
Was
love.
it discouraging or what?
Yeah, well, I really enjoy Sean C's commentary and Fantano's commentary, even when I disagree. Like we were joking, like I do think there are flaws and whatever, and everybody's gonna have their own perspective on things. So like I might see this thing as problematic. Someone else might be like, no, that's what's beautiful about what he's doing, whatever. And they had a conversation about white rappers specifically in hip hop, and Sean C, who I fucking love. He's just like, I don't think there should, like, he's basically saying like white rappers have contributed nothing to the genre, shouldn't include themselves in it, and we shouldn't whatever. And
That's interesting.
as a white guy, I'm obviously having a bias as well as him as a black man is having one as well. But I'm just like, that's to me, that's I don't think that accomplishes whatever it is that you're wanting to accomplish by saying that. I think that makes things worse for people. As someone who is, I have gotten death threats from racist people because of things that I've stood for and had to face and whatever. And maybe I was taking it too personally, like, oh, I shouldn't make music because Sean C says white people shouldn't rap. But I don't even just rap either. I do other stuff too. But whatever. I took it like that doesn't, to say that someone like an Eminem or Atmosphere or even the Beastie Boys had a huge influence on music in general and bringing this stuff. I just thought it was like a ridiculous statement to say, and not that he just said
it's a sweeping statement, right? And it's such a big topic that,
but he doubled down on it like 8 times in the conversation.
Yeah,
he was like, no, like that shouldn't be whatever.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm not saying there, and I guess, and then it was,
we're guests in the culture
for sure.
Also, though, I would argue it begins with intentionality, authenticity, even vulnerability. Like all these things can stand alone. Like also your love for the craft itself. Like if you watch Eminem interviews, that is one of the biggest fucking nerds of rap ever.
Oh,
and
of course.
And you can just tell, and it's like he has universal cosigns, and like everyone credits him as being a legend, and that's okay because he embodied everything that he was always. He never, and he, so that checks out for me. I know it Chauncey, like I know there,
Mac Miller, bro. I mean, and he got a lot of that get the fuck out of here white boy shit at the beginning of his rap career. Now obviously we sit here, I don't want to fucking, some reactionary channel is gonna take these 2 white guys talking about white rappers and be like whatever. I understand
I think
that
it's really important as white people to negotiate what that means, right? Because we do, like, if we want to be a part of the culture in and of itself and contribute to the art form or get to be involved with it, then we need to understand the ways in which
the delicacy of this thing, bro, the beauty of this fucking thing that, like you said, we're a guest in, right?
But I'll tell you what, like, hearing that comment from Sean, I've been to, it's weird, like when I go to these conferences, when I do these things, and there are my idols of color and professors of color who tell me, like, you need to keep doing this, and I'm like, okay, well, that must mean that the intention is in the right place and that the narrative is self-critical and informed and shit like that, But I could see the fucking lesser degree Young Gravies, and just like that's a lot of, I don't know, it is a delicate, important issue that I hope this actually has me inspired to read a little bit more about that, even the interview they had, but then I want to find some other resources I might.
Well, also to think, you brought up someone like Young Gravy, right?
Yeah.
Gravy is not trying to be. I think it's like you said, intention, right? Gravy's not trying to be the number one rapper in the world. You know, he's just making fun. So I think he's just making fun songs. I think that, like, his intent isn't to be. He's not anti the culture. You know, he's making music. I've tons of friends that are of color that listen to him as well, and they think it's fun and it's whatever. They're not. He's not like. It's not Kendrick Lamar. You know, he's not. But he's not trying to be either. You know, and I think like someone like Eminem, for instance, he was set out to not only be the best at the time, but like you said, he fucking loved every bit of it. He was a nerd about it, and he tried his hardest to connect with people. He was funny as fuck. He was observant of what was going on and authentic about it. And so I think there is a difference in, like, I don't think, like, I guess to say what I was trying to get to is I don't think Gravy is like some culture vulture or something like that either. I think he just serves a different purpose in the game. You know what I'm saying? And I think someone like Eminem or Mac Miller serve an entirely different one. And to say which is more important, I mean, I would say that Mac Miller and Eminem would be much more important. But, you know, people find their own importance in things. And I just sat there when he was saying it because of someone I enjoy listening to saying that. And I was like, damn, maybe I shouldn't make music. Like,
not even that, bro, but maybe it was just at that moment of hearing it, it was time for you to start negotiating with it a little more. Like, that's something in our whiteness that we just kind of lose sight of it. Like, I had forgotten the fact that I'm a white rapper until you brought that. Like, I think about it sometimes, I'm reminded of it at other times, but like, it eventually does become another blind spot. So it's something we have to always be mindful of and like really interrogate ourselves and like where we're coming from in terms of contributing.
That's an important thing is contributing as opposed to, and that's what his point was, is that he said he doesn't, it's they come in, they take, and then they're out in 3 years and we get a new one. For his guy, that
reminds me of the Disney Channel cycle when they were doing Victorious and iCarly, and they just had this machine of like, all right, time for the next one, bring them through. It was just like, all right, who's gonna be the next? I can't even think of who it is these days. I guess Jack Harlow. People like Jack's the White Drake. And like,
well, that's what people. That's the same thing. It was like people are trying to, and I think Jack's a nice guy, and I think he's gonna do good things. And I don't think he's. People are really like dogging on him right now. Like it's shifted. The pendulum was like so hot for like 2 weeks, and then it just went the other way.
Yeah, that's now the whole reactive culture, man. And it's like, also though, is that project gonna stand the test of time? I don't know. What was that project supposed to be? Why were those the 4 features? Why was it the way it was? Like, I wonder what he's trying to pivot to. He must have a more grandiose plan, but it probably sucks to be getting that news in real time of just like that reception. But
no, of course, but it's the same thing. People were, I think Sean C was talking about Harlow specifically. He's like, he's the epitome of white mediocrity is what he was saying, and what people were saying on TikTok. And you know,
his first couple mixtapes are fire, by the way.
I mean, it seems like he really cares, you know, whether or not the music right now.
My friend went to high school with him in Kentucky, and like he had always been doing this. Like that, they were like, oh, that's Jack. He's probably going to be famous one day because he tells everyone, and he's kind of good. Yeah. So like he won over Kentucky, he won over Louisville, and like, or was it Lexington? I don't remember. But, and then I saw him. I opened for. Well, I performed at Soundset, so there were people like Young Ma, Jid, him as well. And he was, I liked it. I enjoyed it. He was really good.
Well, that's so people were trying to just kind of discredit, you know, what he has done completely and say, you know, and they were making the comparisons like, look at G-Eazy. Where's G-Eazy at now? It's like G-Eazy was here for a few years and then did the same thing. So everyone's making the projections already.
Yeah,
like
again, we're grabbing at our from the past and the experiences that we have to draw from, and it's like, all right. Like,
I think it's fair to do, like we were talking about earlier. We all make comparisons, and I think, you know.
Actually, do you mind if I ask you this, because it would kind of help inform? Is there any artists that came to your mind during the tape while you were listening to my left tape, like that reminded you of a specific kind of artist? Because that would help kind of inform what kind of features I go after sometimes. But
I have to think. I'd have to think on it. Yeah, I'd have to think on it.
Like, for example, for you, do you have anyone that you would correlate your style to, like, if you were to go to Spotify and it's like suggested artists
Mm.
underneath
I guess it's kind of difficult in the sense of I feel like I'm maybe too close to it. I think like we're all a little too
Sure.
close to our own art. But
Yeah.
if I had to, I mean, influence wise, I mean, I do a lot of, I don't know, because recently I've been doing a lot more pop stuff. Like, I mean, there's still like there's a lot of rap elements to what I'm doing, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of pop. And
Would you
I
say
don't
like
know.
Black Bear? Would you say,
I like Mike Posner probably would be.
Who's the other one that we were not saying that's just John Bellion? Do you like?
John Bellion. I love John Bellion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was, do you see the
Yeah.
little triangular like sound?
Yeah.
Feels like it hang out.
John Bellion, yeah, he's super cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't say that I'm anything like him. He's crazy good producer as well,
Yeah.
John Bellion. I don't know. Yeah, Mike Posner. I really loved Gambino. Like really shaped a lot of how I like. He was like my favorite artist for like the longest
Hell
time.
yeah.
Like I wish I remember being, and I love the album now, but I remember being genuinely sad when he like wasn't gonna be rapping anymore and he dropped the Awaken My Love. Like I was
Yeah.
like genuinely upset. Like
Yeah.
I loved Redbone when it came out. I was like, this is fucking dope. Like look at him, he's catching hits right now. And then I'm like waiting for the raps, and then they never came. And I was like,
Right.
and he does it now. He's doing it a little bit
Here and
maybe.
there, but I know what you mean. It's
I loved it. I listened to like his like royalty mixtapes and
Royalty
like
was
fucking
fire.
Stone Mountain, like the other side
Shoulda
of Kauai.
Known, dude, is my shit off of Royalty.
Yeah. He's
Oh
got
man,
he's got
dude, BTI also is like forever just one of the more mind-blowing projects I've ever come across. Even the script and the fucking everything.
the screenplay and the video
Yeah.
game, and yeah, it's crazy.
Oh,
If you guys don't know, Because of the Internet by Childish Gambino, there's a great video. There's an iceberg video on it on YouTube that's really fun to watch. And then
is that Wendigoon?
what's it?
No, it's not Wendigoon. You said iceberg video, so I thought Wendigoon. Do you follow?
I don't know. I don't know who that is. I have no idea
up,
who made the
Wendigoon?
video.
Okay.
But he have you ever heard 3005 Part 2, the secret track?
Yeah, it was all like hidden in code and shit.
Yeah, dude, they had to
That took
find it.
years.
Yeah, that took forever, and I love that that version of it too.
incredible.
That
Yeah.
3005 is a timeless
beach version?
record. Yeah,
The picnic version, yeah.
yeah, crazy good song.
Love
I don't even know how we got there. Oh, we were talking about
that.
white
I'm
rap.
just nerding out.
Yeah, now we really are. Let's talk about white rappers, man. As white rappers, we have to take this thing very seriously, and we have to
Absolutely.
care about it, and we have to
Mhm.
cherish it really, because it's like, and that's when
Cherish the what?
just cherish the culture itself, and
yeah.
cherish being
being a guest.
able to come
Contributor.
over, you
Yeah.
know, to this friend's house, basically. You know, we're here, and I want to stay. I would like to continue to hopefully add things to it. You know, everyone has their own perspective, and I don't want to ever be seen as an artist that takes away from it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the artists that's the reason they come and go, and that's the reason there's like a stigma. And I think it's a valid criticism. So I don't want that to come off as when I was talking about the Sean C thing, that I'm like somehow like
I
he
feel
shouldn't
you.
say that. Like, it just at the time, again, being an emotional artist,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just like, man, I'm really
Yeah.
maybe I should quit.
I thought I was gonna quit. I was at a hip hop conference in Madison with the educators, and we were going through critical race theory and talking about. And I was just like, my reaction was, I just want to not do this anymore. And they're like, I think one of them said that's the wrong reaction. Like, but yeah.
But it's important to have
yeah.
that, like you were saying earlier, to be self-critical and to really think about it and digest it, because, you know, especially from all the listening to your projects, listening to you rap, and even hearing your story and speaking with you now, like definitely care about it
A little bit, man.
more than a
Little
lot
bit.
of people I know. And
This is everything to me, man.
so that, and I think that's important, and like you said, the intent is there.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get a little bit more fun here
Nice.
to wrap. I mean, hopefully this isn't too heavy. What is the thing you're most proud of that's come from Troyleft?
Thing I'm most proud of.
Yeah, doesn't have to be. It could be a song, could be a moment, could be anything.
Getting an encore with J-So at the Caboose in Minneapolis. I was doing my set, and I brought J-So on to do that. When she brought me on for her set, like, we have a lot of songs together, so we did the song called Drop Off, and we were in Minneapolis, and that was the first time, like, people knew those words. Like, they were J-So fans and, like, Troyleft fans, like, there singing the shit, and they wanted that encore, so we did it again at the end, and I started like dancing. I had my shirt off and shit. The DJ is just like, that was the kind of shit to me, because I was there with J-So at the inception of the beats on, and I'm like humming this, and she's like, that's it, and then comes up with the words and then passes it to me, and then within 4 hours we're like, this is a fucking hit.
Yeah.
And then like she releases it on her album, and then now we're seeing in person like people confirming it's a fucking hit, like they're having fun.
It's infectious.
Yeah, and that's something, you know, as we talked a little bit, like my art can be darker, more existential and stuff. I have songs with Jay that are super fucking not that way, and I was proud to be able to feel that happiness and joy with my sister, you know, like she's family, and we've been through a lot, and we got to be on that stage together. That's one of the things I'm more proud of, but also, man, just the fact that like it keeps me alive. I'm proud of the fact that 18-year-old me, 17-year-old me ever wanted to give it a go, and I'm fighting every day for that kid.
Mm-hmm.
Because he deserves to have this seen through. Like
Yeah.
he's the one whose passion I'm following.
You still feel the passion as well, I hope.
I do. It comes and it goes, but I remember the first track, you know. Do you remember yours? The first one you ever like recorded?
Oh yeah, terrible.
But what did it feel like? Do you remember?
Oh, it was definitely a rush, exhilarating
Did you listen to
thrill.
it a couple times or anything? Like maybe even show a friend?
I remember listening to it in your car with the subs and freaking out, thinking this is the greatest thing ever, just because
There it is.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like just you could hear the actual bass with it, and like the vocals sounded really bad and everything, but like I didn't even think about that. I was just like,
Right.
We were just excited. Yeah.
Yeah, you were leaning into, and also just, bro, how trippy is it? Is it not that you created an extension outside of yourself that like represents something, and that kind of intimacy, and just it is such a beautiful process, man. So I guess to bring like that first time that I played my first song back, and yes, it was ass, and the music quality was ass, but I showed everyone. I was like, look what I made.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, so I'm proud of that kid.
Yeah.
And I try to put on for him.
As you should.
I think he would. I think he'd go to like. I think he'd download my thing. He'd give it a listen.
I sometimes, so I get really down on myself. It's really hard for me. I've been in the midst of finishing this project I've been working on for a very long time. Like I wrote the songs a long time ago.
Yeah.
Could have been done a long time ago, but I just been so in my head, and I had to start reminding myself very recently, like, dude, if I showed this to Darren when I first downloaded my first DAW, like, he would lose his mind.
Yeah.
You know, like he would be like, "Are you kidding me?
Can I use that right now?
Yeah, like
can you teach me how to use it?
I want like yeah, you know, like it's just crazy to think about that. And so I think that's something I've been trying to put in perspective more, is like, no, you're doing this, you know, you really are. And
it's hard for us, right? Because with the ambitions and goals and dreams we have, we can overlook the work we've actually put in.
Yeah.
And it's always there to remind you of it. Like, that's the coolest part about putting out songs. It's like, there they are.
Yeah.
They're going to exist outside of you.
We're losing a light. Well, we're getting to that point. I think we've covered all bases here today. Dude. I appreciate you for being open and vulnerable and honest with me. This has been a great conversation.
I'm overjoyed as always to see you, man.
Do you have any last either questions for me or anything you want to let the audience know before we wrap?
Yeah. What about this podcast of yours are you most proud of? Because this started most likely just as an idea, right? So
yeah,
not only like what are you proud of, but where are you kind of excited to take it?
I think I'm most proud of the fact that I've gotten to sit in the room and share time with people that I don't think I would have been able to had I not, had this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten to learn and understand people, even from people that maybe I don't agree with on a lot of stuff. Yeah. I've gotten to learn something from, and I think that's the coolest part. And I guess on a side note too, my brother and I, we both had recently listened to, like, we were just talking about this the other day, like one of the earlier episodes had come on, and like a recommended, and I listened to a couple minutes of it, and I was like, God damn, I sucked at this thing, man. Like I thought I was a good conversationalist at the time. I was bartending, I was talking all the time, but
there's a different kind of way of going about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like
hosting.
I'm pulling up and like, can I get a drink? It's like,
yeah.
And I really admire the way that you go about, the attention to detail, and you clearly care. This is like a craft that
Thank you.
do, and that's awesome.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I do try, and I hope to continue it. You asked, where do I hope to take it? Where do I see it going? I've been reaching out to some bigger artists. Sometimes I get imposter syndrome when it comes to reaching out to bigger people, because it's hard. It builds up, like, I built up a lot of courage to like ask. I have days where I'll go, it'll be like just that day all I'm doing is booking. And so I'll like message people for hours and hours and hours. And
Damn,
you don't get
I admire that.
You just don't get any responses.
Yeah,
and
the indifference, the silence, you just keep doing it.
Yeah. And so sometimes it gets hard, and sometimes then I put off asking like bigger guests. Not that I don't love having people I know on personally, because I do that too, and we'll talk about what's going on in the world, topical stuff. And I enjoy those conversations too, because sometimes I feel like I don't just sit back and relax and kick it with a friend very often. And so I enjoy that as well. But that's where I hope to take it, is to stay on the grind of trying to get new people and maybe people that will expose us to the right audience, that'll get this hopefully further up the road. I don't know how I want to say that. Down the road. I want us to get some more subs so that I can not starve.
We're growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be able
calories. I love some.
I want to be able to introduce Troyleft to whatever musician I just had on that week that, hopefully we're both fans of. That would be super cool.
That'd be sick.
That's where I want this to be at one day.
I can already envision it, and it's in the distance,
I hope so.
I look forward to keeping up with it.
I really hope so. Man, I just want to say one last time, thank you for being here. I also want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in during the premiere of this episode. I know we didn't do this live, but I'm thankful you guys are here during the premiere. Hopefully we got to talk a little smack in the comments, because I'll be there live. I also want to say a quick shout out to our patrons. Logan, you want to click the patrons one? I don't remember the number, so you have to just click it. Is it up on the screen right now? Just want to say shout out to our patrons for supporting the channel and supporting me. If you guys are interested in getting access to exclusive podcasts, bonus videos and content, including extra footage from our vlogs and behind the scenes of music videos, as well as a series where I break down how I mix, master, and write every single one of my songs, go to patreon.com/DarrenRita, and you can help support the channel for as little as $1. Now, one last time, thank you to Kenosha Auto Insurance for sponsoring this episode. And this has been, I think, the 149th, maybe 150th episode of the Detox Podcast. We're not live, so I don't know off the top of my head. But I'll see you guys next week. Peace.